Township Trustees for Monday, May 16th. Welcome, everyone. It's beautiful outside. Everybody enjoying the weather? Yes, everybody awake out there? All right. Thanks for your patience. We had some business to attend to ahead of time. It's not May 2nd as it says on my screen there, so I apologize for that. At this time, we'd like to ask everyone to stand and stay standing. We're going to do the pledge and invocation. Tonight's invocation is led by Clerk Penny Schultz.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for the hope that your love brings. Thank you for this precious group of people who are here gathered and want to do the will of the community and also your will, God. Lord, we need your wisdom. There's a lot that's going on every single day in our community that affects every person and every family, and we need your wisdom so that we can do what we need to do to affect this community for generations to come. Lord, we ask that you would bless our families. Would you keep them in your tender care? Would you watch over them, Lord, and watch over our students as they're wrapping up another school year? And Father, we just pray a special prayer for the Mastro Mateo family, Father God, and we ask that you would cover them and comfort them in this time of need. Lord, we love you and we praise you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Thank you, everyone. And again, thanks for your patience. We are on item 4 of our agenda tonight, and I will try to keep things on the screen of interest to show you where we're at, but you can also follow along on your smart devices. All this information is available on our website to see. But item 4 tonight is, we have 2 public hearings. The first one is Golf View Drive Private Road Maintenance Special Assessment District Number 2. Clerk Schultz.
So a public hearing is scheduled for tonight, May 16, 2022 at 7 o'clock to receive public comments only on the cost estimate and the work plan for the Special Assessment District. The board has a copy of the cost estimate and work plan. We've also published that on the Orion Township website. You have a copy of the formula sheet for calculating the individual assessments, and the formula is the same one used in the Private Road Maintenance Agreement Special Assessment District. You also have all the information regarding Paint Creek landscaping contractors and those that are working with this estimate for this Golf View Drive Private Road Maintenance Agreement.
Is there anyone here tonight that would like to address the board regarding this special assessment district? And this is a renewal. It's not new, so we don't usually get many people coming for these, and I don't see anyone running forward. So and I also Julianne Savard said we did not receive any written correspondence. Do you have anything to?
No, sir.
Okay. So with that, we will declare that Special Assessment District public hearing held at 7:09 p.m. Next, we have our 2022 Truth and Budgeting, and we rescheduled that. Is that?
So I'll talk a little bit about that.
Go ahead.
So the publication requirement was not met. So we are going to reschedule that meeting for the first meeting in June, and we'll do that later in the meeting. So this will not be held for the public hearing tonight, nor will there be any action that takes place during pending. So I officially removed that 2022 Truth and Budgeting, and we'll do that also when we approve the agenda. Supervisor Barnett.
Okay. We will move on to item 5. We like to always start our meetings with some good news, and tonight is no exception. Tonight's a really special night because we have some very special guests among us. If I could have, and they're going to be mad, Mr. and Mrs. Painter, Ralph and Mary, you guys are here tonight, aren't you? I see you. Come on forward for a minute, please. Why are you guys here tonight? I lied. You're not here for the reason I told you, but you are here for something even better. So you probably know, but we have been taking some time once a month for the last 5 years to celebrate our brightest and best My PowerPoint's a little messed up because your name's off the side of the screen too, but Ralph and Mary Painter have been long-term Orion residents, and get this, guys, collectively, I think I was at 57 years, but we just said more than 50. More than 50 years of volunteerism to our community, which is remarkable. That's where you clap, everyone. So Ralph has served on the Orion Neighborhood Television Board of Directors as chair. He is, and this is in Ian Locke's words, his contribution to ONTV cannot easily be summed up. He served on leadership posts for the board and the cable commission for 20 years. He champions the ONTV at regional and national conferences. He produces a travel show on Orion Neighborhood Television and was instrumental in outlining Orion Neighborhood Television's strategic plans, among many other things. And then Mary, his beautiful bride, who's always smiling, except for right now when I'm embarrassing her, I'm sorry, and always sends me nice news articles when they're out of town in Florida with cool things we should do in our community for as long as I've been in this role. She's served on the ZBA dating all the way back to 1985, which is remarkable, the Zoning Board of Appeals. She was a chair from 2000 to 2004, and she served on the Board of Canvassers from 1998 to 2009. And again, we think there are other things you guys did, and you probably could tell us, but we know basically, bottom line, as a couple, they have contributed 50 years of service plus to our great community, and they are, some of the people like them are what makes our community so great. So, if you'll indulge me, will I run down there real quick? So it's my pleasure, on behalf of the citizens of Orion Township, to present to Ralph and Mary Painter for their more than 50 years of distinguished service to the residents of Orion Township through their devotion and volunteerism to the Orion Cable Commission and the Zoning Board of Appeals, among many other entities. The Citizens of the Month Award, presented the 16th day of May, year 2022. So Ralph and Mary, thank you so much for your service to our community. And they're not going away anywhere yet, but I just, we just wanted to take a minute. So, I don't know, you don't have to say anything, but it's up to you if you'd like to say anything.
Well, we spend the winter down in Florida, and for last year, we watched the State of the Township address down in Florida, and I'd never seen anything like it. I'm telling you, there was you guys do a tremendous job, and of course, this guy does too. And this year, we went over to the event, and it was even better. My God, a lot of the people in here were doing the Star Wars stuff, and I had. We went out to, afterwards we had some coffee, and there were two guys there from Holly, one guy from Chamber of Commerce and one guy from DDA, and I asked him how come they were here, and he said, we just came here to see this event. We've heard it was really going to be something, so we came down to see the event. So, but here again, we all of you, and I've talked to all of you before about them, Penny and and Kim and Donnie particularly, has been involved with the Cable Commission and all this stuff. But everybody, it seemed like, does such a good job here. We don't have any fist fights or anything that I know of, and with the organization I'm involved with. We don't get any money for doing this stuff. Donnie's been to all these meetings, done all this stuff. Penny comes over. We don't get anything for that. But we enjoy doing it, and we're very thankful to live in this township. And I keep telling Chris that actually I think it should be Orion Township where the future is now. And that's what I think it is.
Yeah, I like that.
And I'll just say thank you.
I'm trying to do the orchestra hook over here. Yeah. Why don't you guys maybe stand right here? We can take a photo if that's okay.
Oh, my God.
I know. Be right here in front of the whole board. That'd be perfect. Right here. With the logo, beautiful.
I will. I'll stand up.
Stand up.
Come on in, come on in.
Come on, Brian.
We're proud of you.
You can go back to ZBA anytime, Mary.
And I do want to say, one of the I'm sorry. One of the neat things about this beautiful new building we have is we have these displays that we put neat things on throughout the day while we're open. And the thing we get the most comments on are the Citizens of the Month. So you will be on our Wall of Fame for the next year, scrolling through. But we want to, again, say thank you for 50-plus years of giving your time to us. So with that, we will move on. It won't stay as exciting the rest of the meeting, but we also have a presentation tonight, which this is exciting. We're continuing our partnership with Orion Events. We're planning on that. And they are here tonight to make a presentation to the board to talk a little bit about our first year partnership and talk about what we can expect this coming year. So, gentlemen.
Brian Major with Orion Events.
Oh, no.
No, hold on.
Not that one. I'm still learning, guys.
Bye.
See ya.
Goodbye.
The cone of silence is being dropped.
Let's try this button.
Star Wars still.
Are you guys in the HDMI? Oh, click share, click. Let's try that button. Now push your little button on the click share. Dun, 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 dun. Third time was a charm. All right. Gentlemen, thanks for being here. Please introduce yourself.
I'm John Carson with Orion Events and Friends of Camp Agawam. And congratulations on this facility. It's my first time in here. It's absolutely astonishing. Love it.
James Jenkins, Orion Events, and I'll be walking you just a real quick presentation. We're super excited to be back again this year. We had a lot of learns last year and spent a lot of time out on the Hill and also at the Fireball at Camp Agawam. One of the first things we learned is that while we love the Fireball at Camp Agawam, we're going to try and focus our efforts on Wildwood this summer, and so work a little bit smarter that way. Last year in 2021, we had 11 Fireball shows, 35-plus Wildwood shows. So we did get some feedback to pare it down a little, so we have done that a little bit with a focus on Wildwood. First, thank you. Well, first of all, thanks to the Township Board and everyone at the Township. Without your support and your belief, we couldn't have gotten last year off the ground. Also, thank you, big thank you to Chris and Aaron. They were great partners to work with last year. And then also importantly, thank you to our 2021 sponsors. We had a total of 9 sponsors, which were a big support, and a large amount of the sponsorship dollars went directly into last year's talent. So there's our list of 2021 sponsors. For 2022, last year we did 8 free Tuesday shows. This year we had a request to add a 9th. We're actually bringing in the Air Force National Band. I know I'm going to get that wrong, but essentially the Band of the Midwest. So we've added a 9th show with the Band of the Midwest, and we're excited about that. So 9 free Tuesday shows this year. 6 Thursday blues shows. We did 6 Thursday blues shows last year and tried to get that off the ground, so we'll continue that this year. And then on the alternating weeks, we added in 5 Thursday country shows. Country, always a popular format, and we think it'll do well out here as we try and build that Thursday night. A total of 13 weekend shows this year, 33 total shows at Wildwood, down from 40 last year. So we did button it back just a little bit. And then a new partnership that we're excited about. Actually, Chris worked close along with the team at Canterbury Village to create some new synergy, and we're going to be partnering with Canterbury Village on 2 of their weekends so that their June 24 through 26 Taco Fest and their July 1 through 4 Rib Fest would be on both sides of the street, both the Canterbury and the Wildwood side. And we're working hard to button up all the parking and logistics details on that, mostly the team at Canterbury really handling that piece. And we did, pretty excited to announce for the Friday night at Rib Fest, we actually have a Chicago tribute band. You guys know we are trying to stay in that tribute band lane. It does pretty good. People like to have fun at those shows. So we have a Chicago tribute band, a Bruce Springsteen tribute band, and then right after that, Mitch Ryder on Friday, July 1st. So we're pretty excited about booking Mitch. He's a local Detroit legend, and we think it should be a good show. 2021 lessons learned. We needed more partners. So we reached out and engaged a few. Last year, we thought we would have a beverage partner. Due to timing, it didn't work out, but this year, they are back on board. So we have a beverage partner, neutral. It's like like a canned cocktail, if you will. And along with that partnership came some connectivity. We actually are working with a marketing and advertising agency who's helping us with our marketing strategy for this year. So we're excited. We'll be in a much different place, which I'll go through. The partnership with Canterbury Village, I mentioned. We've just added in a brand-new partner. We'll have a water sponsor out there this year. They're pretty cool water bottles that are biodegradable and also have labels. You can write your name right on it, so you don't have to worry about losing your water bottle. I've done that 100 times myself. So we're pretty excited about that partnership. We just are inking a deal. A lot of people know Elena Campbell, and she's working hard with her cookies and cream brand. She's going to be an on-site vendor this summer at the Wildwood events, so we're excited about that too, along with some additional food partners that Johnny Black's has been gracious enough to let us bring in for some of the shows as well. So moving ahead, more elements, more partners, trying to work a little bit more strategically. Specifically, the advertising agency and the drink partner had allowed us to do something that we wanted to do last year but couldn't get out in front of, which was spend money on advertising. You can throw a great party, but if you don't send enough invites, you won't get enough people. So we are going to send a lot more invites this year. In conjunction with the advertising agency, we have a position on 4+ billboards, M59, I-75, Baldwin, M24. We'll be on 5+ radio stations, I think 6, including the Flint market, because we want to try and get some penetration there as well. Social, we have some targeted display and social ads that we'll be pushing as well. Print, the LO Review, of course, will be in a couple editions, Between the Lines magazine, Metro Times, and then I listed Bud Neutral distribution, and that's really an important part. They have a lot of their vendors are going into their retail locations already. So this year, in addition to the larger media platforms, which we'll leverage, we'll also have flyers, posters, and handouts in literally hundreds of locations across the area that they're delivering drinks and food and items to already. So we're pretty excited about that. Last year, we had a major miss. You guys recommended we do like couponing or vouchering that Pine Knob used to do very effectively. And so we took that to heart, and we're really going to try and hammer that this year at our local locations. We'll also have a lot of buy one, get one voucher offers, so people will be able to do a buy one, get one deal as well. So we'll be in a much better position this year, marketing-wise. If you think about it, I think we were here the exact same week last year just to get the deal approved. Couldn't even talk to Johnny Black's before that, or really any sponsors or anything, and threw it together in basically 3 weeks. So we're way further ahead of the game and feel pretty good about where we're at right now. Here's a list of the schedule. We'll distribute one afterward as well. And it is, of course, on the website at www.orion.events. Pretty extensive. And again, a focus on the Tuesday free shows. Still very important to the township to provide those, so we're producing those with some quality acts. The Thursday country and blues, and the weekend shows, and then the Canterbury Village partnerships as well. The Canterbury partnership not on the schedule. We just listed our partnership here. Canterbury, that's really their piece, and we're just kind of tagging along for the ride and partnering up with them. Sample of our billboard mock-up right there. Give you an idea of what you'll see on I-75 and M59 and a lot of our other print marketing as well. And then I do also have an audio file. I assume there's audio in here. But I have our most recent 30-second commercial that you'll start hearing in probably about a week and a half.
Looks like we're gonna have to take your word for it.
Yeah.
Audio should play.
It's fantastic.
Whose voice?
Sorry, I don't know why it wouldn't do the audio as well.
That's okay.
Well, I'm sorry, it is great. And we thought there might be some open questions from anyone that we could answer as well.
Yeah, thanks for coming in and kind of giving the recap and the look forward. As the board knows, we have an agreement with this group to partner to help bring entertainment to our hill. James mentioned it, but Aaron and I and Aaron's team have worked very closely with the group here. We gave lots of constructive criticism last year, and they've listened to what our feedback and our residents' feedback, and I think this year is going to be better than last. And last year we had a lot of fun and a lot of great events too. So, is there anything, Aaron, you wanted to add, or any questions from the board while these gentlemen are here?
No, not really. I just, towards the end of the season, it was a kind of a pleasure to work with you gentlemen, and so we look forward to a successful 2022, so.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Penny.
So my family and I go out there quite a bit. It's a
Yes.
blast.
Yep.
And you run up and down that hill at least 100 times every night. James, you have got to be in shape to be doing that.
After, yes.
Yeah, and we love it because the kids are having such a blast. So talk about the family aspect of it.
Sure, so we always try and include a family element. This year, we'll have some experiential areas down by the stage too, where we think we'll have like an enter to win and maybe some fun prizing and some sampling from some partners that we would do down there also. So, and there's kind of a large play area we've talked about, maybe even adding an element for, other families. One of the things we can look to down the road too is additional family programming. It's something we've talked about right now. We're really trying to figure out what lane works to kind of build the interest, but that's something we could always take a look at down the road too. Sundays, we're not doing anything on, so.
And the food is amazing. Johnny Black's does phenomenal. I can't wait to see some of the other food venues that are out there. And Aaron, you just built something there. Will you tell people about that?
Yep, they just finished construction on a small open-air pavilion next to the concession stand, so you'll be able to get a drink, get some food, and sit underneath the shady area and listen to some good music.
Better than Pine Knob.
We like to think so.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Donnie.
So it's going to be a mixture of Johnny Black and a couple other restaurants, and then,
Primarily Johnny Black's. He's given us permission to bring in some additional food partners. So, there's 33 dates, so it's hard to get one that'll stick at everything. So we'll probably rotate some in at some of the larger shows. But yeah, we'll look to have a second food option there as well.
and the alcohol permit is through, wasn't it through them last year?
That's through Johnny Black's. They serve, it's the township permit. Johnny Black's is on the license, is the name server, so they do all the pour there.
So that'll be the same as.
Yeah, that'll be the same. We just add in another food partner.
And I do know we just renewed the permit, the alcohol permit. I know it was on this board run too, so that's good.
Johnny Black's was great to work with too, by the way.
And there's dancing.
Kim.
It's so fun.
Yeah, I just want to echo what you said. We were there a couple times last year. I'm happy to see the Purple Rain guy coming back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Excited about that. We did have a good time, and it was your first year, and you guys had some tangles at the beginning, and then you closed out the year really well. Just looking at, and I know that you're an expert on advertising, and I know that I have no doubt that radio ad's going to be great. So that's going to be a lot more exposure, right? And we're hoping that a ton of people will come and fill the hill. So that's just my only question, is just because last year, because you guys were running around so much, right? Do you plan on hiring people to help? I mean, is that part of the plan? Because that's a lot. I mean, if it's going to blow up like this, which I hope it does for you guys and us, it's going to be a lot to handle.
Yeah, we've added more staff. We have a professional ticketing agency that works the front of gate. We had private security last year through some retired police officers, but they were a little bit more passive than we had hoped. So we're switching to a different security company this year that's a little bit more in tune to concert security. Additionally, we have hired an experiential team. So we do set up about 80 VIP seats down at the front, which are becoming pretty popular. And we really want to super serve that area for our sponsors and really for anyone that sits up front there. So we have hired a new VIP experience team that'll also be handling the sampling in that area. We have 3 new stagehands on board already. So we are growing. We are also hiring if you want to work a couple of events.
Okay, lots of opportunity. Anything else from the board? Lots of opportunities. We are looking, again, for sponsors, if anyone's interested, in joining the team of sponsors to make this happen. And we will continue to keep the Tuesday night concerts free. It's been a huge hit. And we got a lot of great feedback from our residents that now they're able to purchase beverages and food while they're out there. So more to come on that, and more to come on our partnership with Canterbury, probably at a future meeting as well. So
Awesome, thank you. And I would say, in terms of sponsorship, it does include tickets to all the events. So certainly you could enjoy the venue in that way. And then additionally, before I forget, we have some items for the board and some of the other township folks that you think make sense. So we have some vouchers we want to give you guys that are good for a pair of tickets to every show that we're doing this summer.
thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll see you there.
All right, so hope to see a lot of our residents out at the Hill. And it's remarkable how many people still don't know about Wildwood.
Yes.
So this is the year.
We did just get listed in the Free Press. Their edition yesterday had the announcements for Pine Knob, Meadowbrook, Freedom Hill, Shane Park downtown, and then right at the bottom, little old Wildwood.
All right.
Yes.
We made it.
Is there going to be a sign at the end of the street too? I know that was discussed.
Oh, you're reading my emails from these guys?
We do have a marquee that we put out last year. We do own the marquee. So we did go permit it to go back out for the next 3 months. And so we will put the marquee out wherever it's deemed it makes sense. I didn't go to file for that, Brian did.
It
So
requires 300 feet of extension cord.
yeah, so
They
That's
have
heavy.
a long list of wants.
yes, you got it.
To make the experience better. That's one of the, one thing more high level for people that are either in the room or watching from home. We want people to enjoy this beautiful venue that this is 3 boards ago, had the vision to bring Wildwood to our community. And really it was very unnoticed. I mean, very unnoticed for many years. And then we were trying to give it a shot in the arm, if you will. And this partnership made a lot of sense for Aaron and I, and then ultimately this board, because we didn't want to have to hire a bunch of staff to do these things. So this partnership makes sense because it's their staff. The other thing you might be thinking, yes, the amphitheater is still available for rental. We have lots of groups that are doing graduations, and our high school thespian troupe, and all these groups that we still support doing events out there. Had this group, and it's not in the slide deck, but maybe we'll share it with the board, had this group just gone and rented the facility last year for the rental fees that are on our website, we would have generated X amount of dollars, but the partnership where we share in the revenue generated 2 or 3 times what we would have.
Almost 3 times.
Almost 3 times, yeah. I'm speaking in real rough numbers, but I mean that's what we wanted to test last year as well. So the facility is available for rental for other groups, but we could never do what's on the screen with our staff. We have amazing staff, but we are not in the business of booking musical venues. And I don't know if Aaron wants to add one more thing to his plate. So that's why this partnership makes sense. And the other great thing about the partnership is these gentlemen all live right here in our community. So thank you for being here tonight and the update and the presentation. We'll see you on the Hill.
Got it.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
And yes, Donnie, they want better signage. They've asked nicely. And the benefit, and that's why I kind of launched into that long discussion about the revenue share and why it's better for the township to do it the way we're doing it than just to charge them a flat rental fee, because we can reinvest. And that's really going to be at Aaron's discretion. He'll bring projects to the board. hopefully next year we'll say, look at all this great revenue that was generated, and our residents had a blast in the meantime. And now, board, please help me install some better signage and things like that. All right, let's see if I push the right button. Boom, I did. Second time's the charm. All right, moving on in tonight's business, we need to pay the bills around here. So in front of our board tonight is this month's bill run, or this bi-weekly bill run. Ms. Steele, I see your hand up right there. You'll see that picture later. That's part of the PowerPoint.
Okay, good. Okay, I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Supervisor, to pay the bills in the total amount, which includes two payrolls of $1,186,565.12.
Support.
Thank you, and I just have a couple comments. The pavilion that we are putting in over at Wildwood was $47,000, and that bill came in on this board run. We had a OHM consultant bill of $126,000. A lot of those are pass-throughs between the bonds and their review of engineering plans that goes through the Planning Commission. And we did renew our BSNA software for $20,000. And we just placed some new EV stations at the Orion Center for $13,000. And we've got a lot of things going on in Parks and Rec with uniforms, baseball leagues, and so there was quite a few things on that for Parks and Rec as well, too. So that's my mini report.
Thank you for that. Like I said, I'll try to put those things on the screen, but you can also follow along. Is there any comments or questions from the board on the bill run? Seeing none, roll call vote, please, Clerk Schultz.
Schultz, yes. Steele?
Yes.
Bernie?
Yes.
Dalrymple?
Yes.
Flood?
Yes.
Urbanowski?
Yes.
Barnett?
Yes. The bills are paid. Takes us to next item on our agenda, public comment. These are for items that are not on tonight's agenda. If you're here about something on our agenda, we'll ask you to hold those comments until that time. Please come forward at this time if you'd like to address the board. And we ask to keep your comments to about 3 minutes. As you can see, we have a busy agenda.
Good evening, my name is Catherine Kennedy, and I actually don't often come here, but I've been very concerned with all the zoning change signs I'm seeing all over the community. Some special land use, some entire woods are demolished before there's any approvals done, like on Brown Road. I don't know if you're aware, but Oakland County has decided and approved proposals that include attainable housing trust, which I'm not sure if the funding source is actually a viable or legal appropriation for a trust. There are a lot of properties that are very low housing that are designed, and there have even been housing resolutions at the county level encouraging that we disperse the lower income individuals into any community to equalize things in this world. Fact of the matter is, in May 12th, the board actually approved our county to give $3 million to the World Economic Forum, which is actually a think tank that meets once a year out of Davos, Switzerland. And they have a global interest, not a local interest. It should not be using our tax dollars, our local money, to globalize our community. Their intent is to make everyone an electronic, digitized human. Oakland County is in the middle of doing that right as we speak. The recording documents, they are converting to a super index, a total digitized system where we will no longer be able to verify real estate ownership, identity. That's the ultimate ploy. And we are thick in our county in the middle of it, whether you realize it or not. You need to start paying attention to the Oakland County Board of Commissioners and the types of zoning issues that are going on right now. I think as a township, because we appreciate the wilderness, the natural resources that we have in our community, I think we absolutely need to freeze all zoning changes whatsoever in our community. I believe some of the intent behind it is anti-American and anti-county, definitely. All this is being done at our expense without our consent. I've been attending for almost a year, and I would tell you it's shocking what I see firsthand. I can't believe it. I was a business person. I was never a political person. But what I'm seeing does not make sense. And for them to have wasteful spending, adding to the inflationary problem we already have in this country and this globe, that's all self-inflicted, we're adding to it in our own, very own community. So we need to be very astute and mindful of what's going on, especially relative to planning and zoning. And I know 2 projects right now that I object to in our community that are definitely appear to be low-income housing. Like the county's indicated, they want 11,500 more low-income units in Oakland County alone.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else want to address the board at this time on non-agenda items? Seeing no one come forward, we'll close public comment, give you a chance to speak with us throughout the meeting. Move on to approval of tonight's agenda. You can see it's lengthy. I don't have any proposed changes. Clerk Schultz?
So added under consent is to schedule the truth in budgeting public hearing. Also, we are removing 10O, accept retirement early separation incentive program. That will be brought back at a future meeting as well. And then under 11B, adopt millage rates, action after hearing. That item will be removed and brought back at the next board meeting. That's all I have.
Okay. Are there?
And then officially, the removal of, sorry, Chris, item
4B.
B, the 2022 truth in budgeting.
Got it. Are there any other proposed, Mr. Flood?
Supervisor, I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Support.
All right, any discussion from the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Agenda is approved as amended. Tonight's consent agenda consists of the following A through U items, minus O. I read these because some people don't see this when they're listening to the meeting, but these items will be approved with one vote. If you're here to speak about any of these items, we'd ask that you make your way to the podium at this time. But tonight we will be approving minutes from our meeting on May 2nd, the employee flu vaccine clinic, 2 street closures on Pontiac and Franklin Wright, an agreement with Ascension Lease at the Orion Center, establishing a liquor license ad hoc committee, scheduling a homeowners association forum, approving this treasurer's first quarter report from this year, the Lake Orion Water Quality Control Special Assessment District, we're scheduling that cost estimate public hearing. That's a renewal of the weed treatment Special Assessment District on Lake Orion. Our Corridor Improvement Authority approving the 2021 annual report on status of the tax increment financing plan. We'll be approving the Michigan Municipal League membership, Planning Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals amended bylaws, amending previously passed motion on a Planning Commission case, updating the Orion Center fitness equipment, hiring a firefighter, paramedic, accepting an employee resignation from the fire department, requesting a waiver of temporary sign permit fee for Young Life Lake Orion, awarding a bid as needed, and I don't think we need that. Is that in there, Sam? It is, okay, sorry. Yes, it is in there. We went back and forth. For the township demolition services and scheduling a public hearing for the truth in budgeting public hearing. That's a lot, and we'll be doing all that with one vote. Is there a motion to approve today's consent agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Support.
Okay. It was moved by Flood and supported by Mr. Burney. Any comments or questions from the board on any of these items first? Ms. Schultz.
So the Donut Dash with Young Life is going to be held on Saturday, June 4th at 8:00 a.m. That's going to be starting at Yates Cider Mill in Canterbury Village. That's an awesome event. And Young Life is a wonderful program that helps kids at the high school. So you want to make sure to look for them, Lake Orion Young Life, and get registered for this event. It's going to be great, and I'll see you out there.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Flood.
Supervisor, I want to compliment our treasurer, Steele, for being timely and full compliance with our investment policy for the first quarter report. Excellent job. And secondly, and I'm glad to see Mary still here, if we pass this, we amended our ZBA bylaws, which have been last time amended 20 years ago. A few state laws have been changed since then. And we want to thank the Kelly firm and our planning and zoning department too, Lynn Harrison and Tammy for bringing that forward. That's it.
Just real quick, the street closure on Franklin was denied, so I don't know if that, that came across as such. And then the other thing is, thanks, Mike, about the report, and I just wanted to point out that we do sell Oakland County Park Passes at the Township Treasurer's Office, and we gave away 422 free passes this year from September to April. And if you're a senior or a veteran, you can get a free pass there. And we've sold 375, and that's between our office and the senior center, the Orion Center, so.
All right, thank you for that. Aaron, do you want to mention anything on Ascension, what you're working on there?
Yep, we've been working with Ascension Hospital to bring them into the Orion Center. A few years ago, we had Beaumont Health Service there, and that kind of fizzled out with the pandemic, but we have Ascension coming in to provide a variety of different programs, services. They'll be leasing out a space in our basement, and they will have a full-time nurse there 40 hours a week. And so you can come to the Orion Center, use our exercise room, use a class, get checked out. It's an all-in-one stop shop, so come on down.
That's awesome. That's exciting. Thanks for your work on that. And I was confused. I'm tired. I'll tell you why in a little bit. But the Township Demolition Services is actually for when we need Township Demolition Services, not for demoing our 25 Joslin just south of here, which will be, I spoke with that contractor this afternoon, and that will be coming down in the next couple weeks. So we are within 10 days of them putting silt fence and things up. All right. Last but not least, is there anything else from the board? I don't see any other hands up here. Couple things. I want to say thank you to our long-term firefighter who's been here for, how long has Captain Florence been here? Yeah, at least 10 years, more than 10, longer than me, and I'm 10. But he is retiring from the fire service, and if you know Captain Florence, he loves our community, and he's not moving away, so I wanted to say publicly thank you to Captain Florence for his service. He's been a phenomenal member of our family here for many years, and we will surely miss him. And I also want to take the opportunity, should this vote be successful, to welcome Michael Lehman, who is here tonight. Michael, raise your hand. There he is. Stand up and raise it. Okay. He will be joining our fire department here shortly, assuming this vote is affirmative, no pressure. But we like to have new team members join us for these meetings if they're able, and we appreciate Mr. Lehman being here tonight. And then the last thing I do want to call your attention to, we are back to in-person homeowners association forums. We try to do these at least once a year with all of our homeowners associations. Typically, we get presidents and vice presidents and clerks and treasurers of HOAs, but we're certainly happy to have anyone that's interested in hearing what's going on. And that is scheduled for June 22nd at 7 p.m. right here in this building. So we'll see what the attendance looks like. We'll either be in this room or in the community room or both. But we're excited to hear updates from our police and fire and building and parks and hear and let you all who serve your neighborhoods interact with each other as well. So there was a motion, there was support, there was some discussion on lots of those items. Anything else? Clerk Schultz, would you please call the roll on tonight's consent agenda?
Dalrymple? Yes. Flood?
Yes.
Urbanowski?
Yes.
Barnett?
Yes.
Schultz, yes. Steele?
Yes.
Bernie?
Yes.
That motion passes 7-0. Welcome to the team, Mr. Lehman. Typically, we'd love to, do you want to just come forward and just say hello, introduce yourself, even though I said that? I'm putting you on the spot here. But it's nice. Sometimes our board only gets to see employees like this and our residents. You're the person that we don't really want our residents to see too much of. That means there's something going wrong. But maybe just introduce yourself and where you're coming from to us, and go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Michael Lehman. I'm new to Michigan. I'm coming from Owasso. It's an honor and a privilege to be a part of the team and the family here at Orion Township. I just want to say thank you for welcoming me in. So.
Awesome. We're happy to have you. Let's give them a round of welcome to the team. Thank you. During the interview process, we tell them that at the end when we offer them the position. Also, we'd like you to come to the meeting and when we're hiring you. And that's usually the hardest part, but we're grateful to have you. And you didn't say he's from Ohio. He's in Owasso for a little bit, but we're putting him right where living is a vacation. So, thank you so much. All those items have been approved or denied. Thank you for correcting that. We're moving on to pending business now. Item 11A, which is a special assessment district cost estimate. Clerk Schultz.
So Julie Savard has prepared some information for us. She's in the supervisor's office, and we had the public hearing on the cost estimate and work plan tonight. After this hearing, we are required to look at what's proposed, and we have several options. I want to draw the board's attention and the public to the Charter Township of Orion resolution, and it talks about the special assessment district, and it also includes the parcel ID numbers that will be a part of that. So we have all the information we need to make an informed decision. Therefore, I move that we adopt the attached resolution authorizing preparation of the special assessment roll as presented.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported. Is there comments or questions from board members?
One comment.
Go ahead.
This is a private road, correct?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And this is the only way they can get their private roads taken care of, through their special assessment district. If you live in a subdivision with a county road, then you gotta go through the Oakland County Road Commission to do the same thing. But this is a private road, so.
Yes.
Yep.
A note about roads. Well, first, is there anyone from this SAD here? Or from Golfview that's subject to this? No. Just a quick note on roads. I have a pile of messages to return on roads just from this weekend. Complaints, concerns, issues. Township gets $0 for roads. All that funding goes to the state through your gas taxes at the pump and your registration fees on your birthday. But we get all the complaints. So we are very aware. Some of us live on those same roads that are the worst roads in the community. So we work with the road commission the best we can to get them to assist us in providing the grading that's needed on all those gravel roads right now, and pothole patches, and hopefully long-term fixes on the other roads in our community. So we feel the pain. It's like preaching to the choir when you call us, and I have a long list I've just given off to our local foreman for the road commission today. And they are pretty responsive, but the long-term fixes that are required on the subdivision roads only happen by special assessment districts in our community. So that's the tool that people use as tax on themselves to pay for those improvements that directly impact and benefit them. So quick note on SADs. All right, if there is no other discussion, it's been moved and supported. Clerk Schultz, would you please call the roll?
Barnett?
Yes.
Schultz, yes. Steele?
Yes.
Bernie?
Yes.
Dalrymple?
Yes.
Flood?
Yes.
Urbanowski?
Yes.
That motion passes 7-0, and we will see that coming up soon for step 2. Item B was removed and will be on a future agenda on June 6th. As was discussed, we're on to item C, which is the Orion Veterans Memorial property discussion. I added this agenda item tonight for the board to discuss the arrangement we have with the Orion Veterans Memorial Board, which is a nonprofit. That is the group that maintains and has funded all the improvements out at our Orion Veterans Memorial on Lapeer Road. We did have a discussion in closed session ahead of the meeting about this with our attorney as it relates to the license agreement that we have. And I'd entertain discussion and/or a motion from the Township Board. Yes, Ms. Schultz.
So I move that we modify the existing lease agreement with the Orion Veterans Memorial property and bring back to the Township Board for consideration at a future board meeting.
Support.
Okay, so it was moved by Schultz and supported by Bernie. And if you're curious what we're doing here, the township owns the property that the memorial sits on, and the memorial owns the assets. And in 2020, we purchased the building just north, the property just north of the memorial, for future expansion of the memorial at the request of the memorial. And so we are in the process of working with the memorial, it's lots of words here, to make sure that very soon the Orion Veterans Memorial will be launching a campaign to raise funds to protect the long-term sustainability of our beautiful Veterans Memorial here in downtown, in Orion. It's actually on the border of the village and the township. So we are looking to modify that agreement to help ensure that the monies that are raised for this campaign will go to what they want them to go to, not purchasing property. And I'm trying to summarize that without being vague, and it's not vague, but if anyone has questions, I'm happy to answer them. Or any board member have any additional to add? No? Dan, did I say anything?
Oh, yeah, lots.
I know, I'm tired, lots of words. Okay, any public comment on this item? It will come more clear. This will be back in front of the board to approve the language, and it will be in our packet at that time. Thank you. Clerk Schultz, would you please call the roll?
Schultz, yes. Steele?
Yes.
Bernie?
Yes.
Dalrymple? Flood?
Yes.
Urbanowski?
Yes.
Barnett?
Yes. That passes 7-0. All right, next item is a planning commission case, planning commission case 2021-78, the Woodlands PUD Concept and Eligibility Plan. It's on page 212. I know the applicant is here as well. I'm going to first pass it to Penny, as we normally do here.
Okay, so we've got a lot of information here tonight, requesting board action on PC 2021-78, the Woodlands PUD Concept and Eligibility Plan. The Planning Commission at their May 4th, 2022 meeting passed a motion to recommend denial of PC 2021-78, the Woodlands PUD Concept and Eligibility Plan. The Board of Trustees will deliberate on this tonight, and also the Charter Township Board of Trustees, having considered the PUD eligibility criteria of recognizable benefit, density impact, township master plan, economic impact, guaranteed open space, and unified control. The board has all the information that was presented by Tammy Gerling of our Planning and Zoning Director, and she is very thorough. We have the application for the plan unit development, the third submission that was provided. We also have the information from the Planning Commission. We have exhibits that show what was required when they went before the Planning Commission. And I'll just note that it goes from page 212 all the way up to 1,785. No, I'm kidding. It goes up to page 425. So we have a lot of information, and you can also see this on the township's website. We have the Water Resources Commissioner's information, as well as the information from Jeff Williams, our fire marshal. And if you want to see this in detail, do go to the website, or you can come to the clerk's office for more information. Tammy Gerling, thank you.
Okay, so with that, we do have the applicant is here tonight and would like to address the board. So are you plugged into the ClickShare down there? Or HDMI?
HDMI.
HDMI, okay. I was told ClickShare. Let's try that. There it is. Okay, so if you could just introduce yourself and
Got the wrong presentation.
yeah, you got to flip that. So let's see.
Do I have to do that on mine?
Yeah, I don't have, I just basically gave the control of that HDMI cable, so you'll have to maybe change which screen it is choosing as primary. Bless you. I forgot we can close those blinds. You can all see the screens fine from out there with the sun behind them? Or for morning meetings?
Not sure why that is on my screen.
Can you do that on the top there? It says display settings. Do you see that in there? On the top of the screen right there, yeah. I think you can switch it there. Yeah.
Excellent, okay.
All right.
Good evening, my name is Michael Wayne. Do I need address, Supervisor Brown?
No, that's okay.
Wonderful. So we're pleased to be back in front of you, and we thank you for your time this evening. The last we were in front of you, as Clerk Schultz mentioned, we shared some changes and some improvements that we made to the Woodlands design. in response to some of the feedback that we heard from the Planning Commission and members of the community. Those changes were well received by this board, and you approved us to go back to the Planning Commission and share those changes with them. We presented the Planning Commission on May the 5th and unfortunately received the same result as the first time, the 07 recommendation for denial. We're very disheartened with this result because we feel as though we had addressed the changes, addressed the concerns, yet again received the same result. We feel that the Planning Commission did not adequately consider the facts that we presented to them, and we'd like to share those with you tonight. I have a presentation here. I will try to move through it rather quickly. I know tonight's agenda is very long, but I think it's imperative that the board hear all the facts so that you can decide for yourselves your opinion on this project. When we began this project, we started with 190 units over 20 acres. This was about a density of 9.2 units per acre, and we reserved the front 7 acres for some additional future development. We quickly learned that we had some work to do, and so we modified this design to add about 15,000 square feet of buffer, remove 24 units, and decrease the density by 20%. We also reduced from 9.2 units per acre down to 5.9 units an acre. We reduced the building size by over 40,000 square feet, and we extended the distance between the building and the property line by 100+ feet. This was the result of those changes. The area in the orange is where the units were moved. The areas in the green are where the buffers were added. But once again, following the recommendation initially by the Planning Commission, we knew that our work was not yet done. So we continued to listen and to improve the design. And what we did in this most recent iteration of changes was add an additional 15,000 square foot of buffer along the west property line. Now, this was the smallest buffer and one that we didn't touch in the first iteration of changes, and admittedly the most lacking of the buffers in our proposal. So in the new proposal, we have quadrupled the distance of this west buffer line and extended it to roughly 40 feet, up from about 10 feet. We also moved 32 units to the east parcel. So this is that additional 7 acres, and this stretched the residential toward Lapeer Road, which was something that was mentioned, was viewed positively by one of the members of the board. We also reduced the footprint of the building to 2 stories on 50% of the building. More on that in a moment. We also removed the restaurant from our proposal. Initially, we were excited to bring a restaurant to the community, but what's most important to this community, in our opinion, is residential housing, and so we decided to focus the project solely on residential and eliminate the commercial component. In order to help mitigate some of the traffic risks of the project, we added a boulevard on the Lapeer Road entrance to designate this as the main entrance to the project, and we also designated the Walden Road exit as a right turn only. So residents leaving the project down Walden wouldn't be able to turn left and exacerbate the existing delays on Walden and Lapeer intersection. So these were done as an effort, again, to mitigate the traffic impacts of the project. As a result, we ended up with this site plan. So the area in the green to the west of the property is where that buffer was added. This also features a gravel nature path that connects the back nature preserve to the rest of the property. The orange box below there is where the right turn only signal is noted. You can see that we've relocated those units to that adjacent parcel, and where the boulevard was added and also the restaurant was removed. The last thing we did has to do with that building footprint. So by reducing 50% of the building footprint to 2 stories, we were able to ensure that all perimeter facing aspects of the project appeared 2 stories to the neighboring properties. So on screen there, the lighter shaded areas are the areas that feature 2-story. The darker shaded areas are those that feature the 3-story. Now what's significant about this is that the 3-story areas only face itself and not any of the neighboring properties. So this was a move done to help blend the design with those, with its surroundings and reduce the perimeter facade to only 2-story. But if that's still confusing, we've included this diagram here. So the left side of the screen is effectively what the building looks like in a cut section to all the surrounding properties, and on the right side of screen is what it would look like only to its interior. The total design is about 35 feet and qualifies under 2.5 stories, and that is equivalent with the height requirements of the RM1 zoning district by comparison. We also provided this rendering to give you an understanding of what this looks like from the exterior. So what you see here is basically that exterior perimeter of the property. This is at the end of the Walden Road entrance, so this is basically the most visible this would ever be, is if you're standing right there at the entrance. But what we think is significant about this is if you asked any random person how many stories the building on screen is, I think we can all agree they would say 2. What you can't see is the 3rd story on the other side of that pitched roof, which again faces that interior. So this move was made purely based on the feedback that we got from the commission and got from members of the public so as to blend the building as best we can with its surroundings, and we think this rendering does a good job at representing that. We also included a couple of additional renderings here to give you an idea of the look and the feel of the woodlands. On the upper left there is the entrance from Lapeer Road. What's significant about this is that you can barely see the building. That's because it sits almost 700 feet off of Lapeer Road. This is over 2 football fields away from the road. So as you drive in, on your left would be the 32 relocated units. These are 2-story on both sides of the building. They're walk-up units, so they don't feature a common hall. And unlike the units on the interior, they, again, don't feature that common hall. So they have access to all the same amenities, and as well as the nature preserves, and obviously have all the same finish qualities, but they are separated from that main building. By the time you get to the end of that main entrance, you're met with the roundabout that you see in the lower left corner. That is basically the main entrance to the building. It's where the leasing office is located, all of the amenity spaces in that area, as well as the over 4,000 square foot of outdoor amenity space that's in the center of the courtyard. And then if you're entering the project from Walden Road, the bottom right image is representative of what you may see. From this perspective, again, that sits about 350 feet off of the road, so more than a football field away from Walden Road. And frankly, this is probably the most of that facade that you could see from the road. The remainder is blocked by an enormous amount of landscape buffers and vegetation along all those perimeter borders of the project. Now, one of the biggest concerns we heard from members of the public and Planning Commission is a concern about overburdening of public infrastructure. We've heard from the Department of Public Works that the Woodlands does not overburden the water or sewer capacity and that there is ample capacity to service the development. So no concerns there. The next has been a topic that's been mentioned a tremendous amount of times, and that is with respect to the stormwater management of the site. What is paramount to understand about stormwater management is that this township has an ordinance that requires that the post-development conditions of the stormwater management system are at a minimum maintaining the existing draining conditions of the undeveloped site. So what that means is we can't make them any worse. And your township engineers are going to not provide us an engineering permit to build the project until they feel comfortable that we've achieved that objective. So please rest assured that the stormwater management system will go through significant levels of review to ensure that it's sufficient to handle the water runoff. Furthermore, on stormwater, the Woodlands actually has the potential to improve the stormwater conditions for these neighboring properties. The diagram that you see at the bottom of the screen here is representative of that. Currently, the water flows from north to south and from west to east. And so as it exists today, certainly it's undeveloped and there's vegetation, but inevitably water is going to flow from the north side of the property to the south side of the property, perhaps affecting some of those neighbors to the south. By comparison, once the Woodlands is developed, we're going to not only flatten that site to the point where that grade change is largely eliminated, but we're also going to control the flow of all of that water after it falls on those surfaces. So as you go through a stormwater management system, we're corralling the water and taking it to the place that it's supposed to go, as opposed to today, it flows wherever it pleases. So this will improve the current stormwater conditions of neighboring properties should they be experiencing flooding from aspects of the project that will later be developed. I also wanted to give another representation of this. The area in the red border effectively represents the curbs that surround the parking lot. Picture a cookie tray. If you were to pour water into the cookie tray, the water's not going to go over the edges of the cookie tray. In this case, it's the same thing. These are 6-inch curbs. So the water would need to overflow and flood the parking lot more than 6 inches to ever get over that curb. That's never going to happen because the stormwater management detention system that sits beneath the parking lot is designed to accept even the 100-year flood event, and that volume of water is capable of being facilitated by that system. So as the water's moving, it's going in the direction that we basically designed it to go to, and ultimately it flows into a 5-foot drain that runs under M24. So that's one of the largest size drains there is. So in speaking with Mark Landis this morning, we confirmed that there's no downstream capacity concerns for the stormwater. This means that in no case can we produce too much water to the stormwater system to where it could cause any backflow or flooding, because that cauldron that it's going to is 5 feet wide. So again, we ask the board to have comfort in the fact that your township engineers will certify that the system is sufficient to not only mitigate any concerns of affecting neighboring properties, but as I mentioned, improve in those cases where some of that water is flowing from the undeveloped site into neighboring properties. So this is something that we feel is actually a benefit to the project. Now, traffic is another highly discussed topic in relation to this property. When we initially set out, we proposed the 190 units, and that also kept the initially conditionally approved site plan on the front 3 acres of the 7-acre parcel intact. And so when we initially conducted our traffic study, we studied 190 multifamily units, a 14,000 square foot office building, and a 4,000 square foot restaurant. The way that traffic studies, or what traffic studies focus on, is really the peak hour traffic. So this is the 1 hour in the morning that is the most vulnerable to additional traffic, and the 1 hour in the evening that is the most vulnerable. So they look at those times because those are, of course, of the biggest concern. What this study found is that, initially with the 190 units and the office use and restaurant, the accumulation of those total trips during AM and PM peak hours was about 383 cars. So 203 during that AM peak, 180 during that PM peak. By comparison, by just proposing 166 multifamily units, we reduced those numbers to 76 and 78 trips respectively, for a total of 154 trips. So when you look at what we were initially proposing compared to what we're proposing now, we've reduced the traffic impact by about 60%. Furthermore, on traffic, as I mentioned, there's an existing conditionally rezoned parcel on the front 3 acres. Now, this existing site plan produces actually more traffic than what we're proposing today. So what you see on screen is the restaurant producing 146 trips and the office producing 61 trips. By comparison, the total apartments during those peak hours only produces 154 trips. So what this board and the Planning Commission have already approved, the Woodlands will reduce that traffic volume by 34%. Now, this is something we shared the last time we were here, but we thought it was important to reiterate. There are no available apartments in Orion Township as of today, particularly at these 6 properties that we studied. As recently as this morning, I was on apartments.com, and every single one of these properties says not available. That's particularly challenging when you have the level of growth that Orion Township is set to experience through the likes of GM, perhaps the future Palace redevelopment, igniting some growth in the Orion Township among the numerous other suppliers that will come and follow GM. I think it's imperative that the township consider where all of these people are going to live. And so the existing supply is at capacity, and so new supply is necessary to sustain this growth and to allow these new residents to live in the Orion Township community. The Woodlands also presents a product type. So existing, the photos on the left, there's a representation of some of the existing products. As you can see, they're largely similar to one another. By contrast, the Woodlands kind of presents a whole new view on multifamily. Some of its unique features would be, of course, the nature preserve, allowing residents to utilize that and enjoy 12 acres of undisturbed nature. And in addition, the 4,000 square foot outdoor patio that sits within that courtyard space provides amenities that can't be found at any other property in Orion Township. That would be things like a gazebo, an outdoor pool, outdoor patios for private outdoor patios for residents, among some other items. It's also important to note that the Woodlands is one of the only projects in Orion Township that will feature an elevator. So when it comes to, apartment or multifamily projects that will feature an elevator. And so when it comes to demographic, of course, we anticipate more of a millennial, young professional demographic, but the fact that both buildings will feature an elevator also perhaps opens up that demographic to, say, an empty nester that maybe downsize, become a part of a community, and enjoy the amenities that the Woodlands will offer. So it's very unique, and it provides the township an opportunity to retain some residents that may be looking for those amenities that can't currently be found in the community. There's been some mention that this particular location may not be the best suited for a multifamily project. What we would say to that is it being located in the lower third of the community allows it to prevent any of our residents from needing to travel through the upper 2/3 of the community on their commute to work. So the table in the lower right corner represents where Orion Township residents commute to. And as you can see, all of those places are to the south. I don't think this comes at any surprise, but the point being that locating this project in the southern third of the township prevents these people from needing to travel through the other 2/3. Imagine an extra 150 cars going through downtown every day. It would be challenging. In this case, that's not necessary. And particularly in the case of GM, 3,000 new employees coming, we expect a lot of them to want to live at a place like the Woodlands. They won't even need to use Lapeer to get to work. So we feel it's actually the perfect location based on that to provide additional housing for this future growth in the township. Now, it's also been said that it doesn't fit in this location. When we analyze what exists around, we see a lot of other multifamily. So to the north, to the east, and to the south, there's other examples of RM1 zoning. While we're not proposing RM1 zoning in the form of a rezoning, we're proposing the same density that RM1 allows. And so we feel that given the proximity to some of these other properties that exist as RM1, Woodlands fits right into this. Not to mention, it sits on one of the busiest roads in Oakland County. And so given those aspects, it seems fitting that it would be located adjacent to other properties that share similar amounts of zoning and similar amounts of density. To make another example, the multifamily zone parcel to the north, just north of the Home Depot, also sits adjacent to single-family homes, but of course sits right on Lapeer Road. So when we look at these other examples, we find it challenging to understand how it does not fit when we have examples of similar densities and similar zonings surrounding us. We also analyzed what the recognizable benefit was as required by the PUD ordinance. Now, this is directly out of the PUD ordinance, and these items are what the PUD ordinance calls for. So we've analyzed how the Woodlands fits into these categories. On the topic of nature preservation, we've said it a number of times. 12 acres of preserved land. We'll have about 60% open space on the site, so we feel we absolutely check this box. In terms of preservation of historic features or historic buildings, obviously it's not applicable. We have none on the site. As far as improvements in traffic patterns, I alluded to earlier, 34% less traffic than what is already approved on this site. As it relates to improvements in aesthetic qualities, of course, we have significant nature preservation that's been mentioned a number of times. There's also unique site design features, extensive landscaping, 1,500 feet of safety paths near Walden and Lapeer Road, and thousands of feet of greenway connection throughout the site. So these features all add to the aesthetic qualities that the Woodlands presents. As far as improvements in public safety or welfare, I mentioned that the Woodlands Stormwater Management System will eliminate any existing runoff that's coming from this undeveloped site into neighboring properties. That area will now be managed by the Stormwater Management System. And as far as high-quality architectural design from an exterior facade perspective, we are proposing durable, aesthetic, and modern features We feel that the way we designed the facade fits with the natural wooded landscape around the site. And as it relates to the units themselves, almost every unit on site will feature a balcony. A number of the residents will also benefit from carports on site. And as I mentioned, 60% of open space throughout the site with 4,000 square feet of outdoor amenity and 6,000 square feet of indoor amenity. So when it comes to high-quality architectural design, I feel like we've hit that nail on the head. And last but not least, on the provision of transitional areas. So from our initial amount of transitional areas proposed, we've added over 30,000 square feet of space to aid in the buffering from the adjacent residential uses. So we feel like with that addition, and in the case of the west buffer, by quadrupling that buffer space, we think that we have, achieved this objective. So as I alluded to at the beginning, we feel that we have addressed the concerns and continue to address the concerns of the Planning Commission and the community in terms of traffic, buffers, height, stormwater management, and density. So with that, I appreciate your attention to this presentation and would love to welcome feedback or any questions that you have for me.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Wayne. We will bring it up here to the board first to see if there's a motion, and then we will open up for board discussion and/or public comment at the time. Yes,
I just want to put the motion out there for discussion purposes, and I know that the board can change at any point, but I move to approve PC 2021-78, the Woodlands Concept and Eligibility Plan, PUD plan, located on a vacant parcel located east of 310 Walden Road, parcel ID number 09-23-351-024, and 330 South Lapeer Road, parcel ID number 09-26-101-021, for plans date stamped, received 4/13/2022. For the following reasons, I think just briefly address the concerns of the community and the Planning Commission.
Is there support? Is there support on the motion for discussion? I'll support it for the purpose of discussion. Okay. Discussion, board, we'll bring it up here to the board first, and Mr. Flood.
Chairman. For the benefit of the public out there, the buck stops here at this township board. The Planning Commission is a recommending body. We sent this back before because the petitioner did make the corrections, and it was correct to send it back to the Planning Commission. There have been some decisions by the Planning Commission where there's been 4-3 vote or a 3-3 tie, which I feel that then I have a say in this. Twice now, this has been denied now, 7-0 by our Planning Commission. I will not vote in favor of this motion based on the findings of our Planning Commission. That's my statement.
Thank you. Anyone else from the board want to give comment at this time? Ms. Steele.
I think that from the beginning, from the day that we had our public meeting and all the way through, I have voiced my dislike of the whole project at that area. I think that your project's beautiful, and I think that it has a lot of great things to offer. I just never liked it there. And my biggest concern has been the density from the very beginning of the project, where it is 6 times the density of what it's zoned. And right now, if you were to just use the zoning that's there right now, I believe it's 28 houses, and this is, 160 units? And so, I have my notes here, but I just don't know if I have the exact numbers, but so that was one. And so I support all the findings that the Planning Commission has deliberated on. I support all the findings that the consultants have deliberated on. And I don't think that I've ever voted against the Planning Commission in 9 years, just because that's why we have a Planning Commission. They're the ones who go through all these documents, they deliberate, they talk, and I think that if they're following the consultant's advice, if they're following what the master plan says, which this is not in the current master plan and it's not in the future master plan to approve such density, that, I mean, like, why would we even have a planning commission? I mean, why follow, why have them deliberate and go through all the trouble, and if we just overturn what they say? So I don't believe that the community benefits there. I don't believe it's in the spirit of the master plan. I don't think that the zoning's accurate, the underlining zoning, and I'm not convinced, and maybe OHM can talk a little bit more into detail about how this new development is going to improve the current stormwater of the neighborhood situation with this development, and how OHM can certify and improve on the water of the surrounding properties. I'd like to see how they're going to be able to do that, because when I read what OHM had to say about the water, that there was a lot of things that were not consistent with what the developer has said, such as the sediment prevention. It talks about the sewer appears disconnected. I'm just briefly going over some of the notes. Stormwater management calculations were not included, so that seems to me something that needs to be clarified. And the one last thing I did say about the community benefit was not there. I don't see a community benefit, not only for the people around there, but for the community as a whole. And just one other comment that I wanted to make. I think that's good for now. Thank you.
Okay, any other board comments?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Supervisor, I think when it's this critical of a situation, and we have a lot of residents I see sitting back there, and I have made no disrespect to the developer either. I think you're entitled to know on each board member up here is going to vote on this. Now, they don't have to say nothing. That's our First Amendment right. But I think it's their due diligence that everyone explain how they're going to vote on this for the developer and for the residents here. So far, Ms. Steele and I are the only ones talked about it, and I think it's not fair to the residents sitting out there to know each member up here that we're accountable to you. And that's just my opinion. I'm just one voting member on this board, but I'll stand on my principles and whether I'm right or wrong. But I think that you deserve to know how each member of this board is going to vote and why they voted that way.
Unique comments, Mr. Flood. Seems like those should have been directed to us to say, hey, how do you feel, board? But
I have,
anyone else
Mr. Supervisor, I have the floor right now, sir, and I can say that if I want to. I think it's a disgrace if an elected member cannot speak up to face the people who live in this community or this developer who's trying to present this.
we're not done with the board comments yet, Mike.
I didn't hear anybody raise their hand or say anything about it.
I'm chairing the meeting and I have not moved on from the board, so
Okay,
it's,
my comment's on record, though. Thank you.
it is. Is there any other member of the board that wants to discuss this at this time?
Be happy to.
Go ahead, Pat.
So for transparency and why I'm voting in favor of this, but I'll have an opportunity to vote when the supervisor calls the vote. You guys have brought this back to the township board on several occasions, and you've listened to the community. When the surrounding neighbors were asking that you address the water issue, you adequately addressed that. When you're talking about the traffic study and the flow of the traffic, you did change that. You removed the restaurant, which I think was huge, and then you also showed the topography from the 3 stories and the interior facing one another and the exterior being of 2-story. It's surrounded by apartments. It's not that unusual to request to have another apartment complex. And I have to go right back to one of my original comments. General Motors is developing in our community, and you're already answering a question, where are they going to live? And we have to provide housing, and it's going to help the school districts as well. I love that there's elevators. We don't have that. I think that's going to help people who may not be able to get up and down those stairs easily, and might need the ability to move freely about the building. I think it's an excellent design. It's unfortunate that it went back to Planning Commission again. I'm actually surprised of the outcome, in all honesty, but that's why I'm supporting this. Mike, I want to honor you and your request for that, sir. But I do support this development. It's 166 units, high-end, multifamily, and I also have asked you on a couple occasions, I'll ask you again, where's the funding coming from? Private or federal or public funding?
So all financing will be secured through private sources, both traditional regional bank as well as private investors.
And I appreciate that. Thank you for your honesty in that.
Any other board members?
I can verbalize my comments from the Planning Commission meeting. You did come back and present a few changes, but ultimately it's still, the density and the RM1 standards are not within, and they're non-compliant with, what an RM1 would be. They're still 3 stories. It doesn't fit in with the spirit of what's around it. You do have the somewhat density in other areas, but those are still 2-story buildings. So that was an issue. And then 350 feet in length, I think that was another issue. It just doesn't fit with the character of the surrounding communities, and we were concerned about the potential negative effects to developments to the west and to the south. I'm sure that we might hear from OHM about a little bit more, but at that meeting, we were still concerned about impacts to the surrounding areas in terms of water and that type of thing, and traffic. Quite frankly, I'm not convinced, and I'm sure that a couple of my commissioners were not convinced either about the traffic not being negatively impacted in that area. It's 166 units is still extremely dense for that area. That was my concern and a few of my commissioners. So that's why I'm going to support the vote that came from my fellow planning commissioners and myself.
Okay, anyone else? Julia?
I had a question that I asked to OHM about the stormwater system. I asked a lot about that this morning, so I was hoping that maybe they could talk a little bit more about the water while we're here.
Yeah, so, are you asking Jim?
Oh,
or-
yeah, sorry.
Okay, so I had some of the same questions, because that's been a concern of this site for as long as I've been in this role. And I know that I watched the planning commission meeting, and I noticed that there was some, I think, confusion about that. So, Jim, first of all, just a comment from me. We have the best consultants in the business, in my opinion, and they aren't going to do things that will harm our community. So, at this point of the process, this is a concept. So if they couldn't get engineering to work, or there was going to be detrimental effects to the neighboring properties, none of these board members would support it, first of all. But I know there are some details that need to be fleshed out, but do you want to try to speak to that a little bit, Jim?
Sure, Mr. Supervisor. I don't know if it might be some beneficial. I believe it's, if you can show on the screen, I think it's like the A100 sheet, because it kind of gives a general overview of, yeah, it would be sheet 3 of 17.
Just a moment, I'll pull that up.
Do we have it in our presentation too, Jim?
Yeah, you do. It's the,
Page what? Of the board?
well, it's the agenda item 11D, and there's a PDF of the site plan. And then if you could pop that up, then it's sheet 3 of 17 of that PDF.
Okay.
Oh, it's that one right there, the one that's on the screen, if you want to zoom in, just because it gives you kind of a broader overview. Oh, if you can just show the whole thing, though, it would just be beneficial. So, as the applicant said, there's kind of like a high point, sort of almost where, you've got I would say the north half and the south half. So that's kind of the high area there. So the undeveloped portion of the property is what drains to the northwest through that wetland area, and that complex kind of goes through the Walden Park area and heads north and then back around east. Then the development portion of the property essentially drains south to southeast. So again, and let me preface that by saying this is the concept PUD. So there's no calculations provided. There's no details on grades and the storm sewer system and sizing. Like, all those details get done as part of a final PUD and the construction plan drawing review. So this is simply a concept of, are you showing areas of where stormwater management is going to be? Are you showing where your outlet is and that type of thing? So the northwest part of the site is essentially remaining undeveloped, heads to the northwest. The developed portion of the site, they're essentially going to have a stormwater management system that outlets to the southeast, east of the, essentially of the adjacent properties. So from a concept standpoint, we're not concerned that there's some broad thing here that is, not in conformance with your requirements or ordinances. It doesn't mean that there might not be details that need to be worked out that we're concerned about in the final PUD or engineering plan review. One of the comments that the applicant stated is that if you have drainage heading south, currently south off of his property to the neighbor's property, they're going to have curb and storm sewer system that's going to accept that, and then it's going to discharge east of that. So I think that's where he referred to that they might actually provide some benefit for the properties, especially the property to the south, maybe to the southwest. That's very possible. The one thing, however, to always consider, and it's something that is done in our review in the details of final PUD and engineering, is that, the storm systems are designed for a specific rain event. You get a rain event that exceeds that, right? It's greater than the storm system can handle, then you have an overflow condition. One of the things that's critical to look at in a situation like this is, where does that overflow condition occur? Because you certainly don't want that overflow condition to occur immediately upstream of a structure or a citizen or a resident structure. So you want that overflow situation to occur where it's safe, and if it does overflow, it's not going to impact a building or flood out a building. Those are details, of course, that you don't necessarily look at and review in a concept PUD stage. Those are things that have to get flushed out when you look at grades and details and calcs and those types of things. And in some cases, there's issues that need to be worked out, and at some rare instances, they might not be able to be worked out, and so there's an issue there. But from a concept stage, that's the general layout of this property as it relates to stormwater management. Essentially, things head northwest are really remaining unchanged, undeveloped. The stuff that heads south and southeast is where the development occurs, and they're going to have a stormwater management system that meets your ordinance requirements that then would discharge essentially to the southeast, where there's an existing, I think, 60-inch culvert underneath Lapeer Road.
Anything else, Julia?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Connie?
The one comment that I did want to say is that I did read that the driveway off of Lapeer is 700 feet, which exceeds the maximum cul-de-sac of 600 feet, which is another reason why I would say it just doesn't fit there. And the density, I just looked at my numbers again, it was 166 units, non-owner occupied units, versus 28, which is allowable in that zoning and the future zoning as well. So again, I'm just reiterating my reason for my reason for voting the way I will be voting. And again, I do support the Planning Commission and the time and effort that they put in when they go through these documents and these plans. I just want to give them credit and for the time that they put in. And I think hours and hours and hours, and just to go against what they say, just because, oh, I think it's a cool project. I just don't think it's fair. It's not even about fair, it's that they have the expertise. That's why I lean on them, is because of their expertise.
Hey, anything else from anybody up here? I'll give you my comments. I usually go last, but give everybody else a chance to speak. So I understand both sides of this issue, and I really do. I think many of you that know how I got involved was because I was like some of you that are sitting here, and there was a neighborhood that was playing for my backyard, and I wasn't pleased, and somehow I became that homeowners association president, and then planning commission member and township supervisor. So I understand how this works, and we do care what the residents say. I don't think this is a disrespect for the planning commission. I think we're in the process of updating our master plan, and I have been on record this time and last time as to looking at some of our major corridors and looking at potentially adding density. I will say this on the record. If anybody thinks that someone's going to come to this site and build single-family homes, it's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I love Lake Orion. We're living as a vacation for the same reason that most of you all do. And a development like this doesn't change that on a wholesale level. We still, no matter what happens, have 30% of our land mass as lakes and public parks, not to mention all the private recreation and property that's green space. So I do look at this. The Planning Commission is tasked to enforce the ordinance, to read the ordinance and see if this fits. I think there's an opportunity by way of a PUD sometimes, and that's why we have a PUD ordinance, as do most communities, to see if there's opportunity to do other things. And what I mean by that is what I like about this proposed plan, and by the way, we've had at least, that I can remember, 6 different developers start this process with us on this site and stop for a whole host of different reasons. And every single one of them was going to build houses on the back 12 acres. Well, the reason I particularly like this, I like clustering. I like the fact that you can take a piece of property and set it aside for green space forever in perpetuity. It doesn't mean it's a phase 2 that someone can come in and build on. It would be set aside. So I like that. I see that, I was just looking at the map, looking up Lapeer Road from 75. There is maybe one development south of here that is single-family abutting, fronting on 24. Most of them have a multifamily aspect or a completely multifamily. So I think, I don't see that it doesn't totally fit. I agreed with the Planning Commission recommendations to lower the height, increase buffering, reduce density, and I've seen this applicant do all those things. The 700-foot cul-de-sac issue is not, I don't think, an issue anymore because they have that second entrance. I think that was originally an issue. And I think that on traffic studies, I think we have to believe the experts. And I did not believe this back, I don't know how many years ago, but I actually went out with Jim's team and I did a traffic study on Silverbell Road next to my neighborhood. And you'd be amazed at how accurate these studies are. And my concern is I just don't see what else is going to go there that's not going to be intrusive. The township doesn't own the property, it's private property. I am most concerned to make sure that no one is affected by water. I know the flooding, I know people, some of you here I know are my personal friends that have experienced water issues, and I have had extensive conversations with our team at OHM, and I actually think that the way the water flows from this property, whatever development that's going to go there will probably improve because the water is flowing from the left of the screen, top left, to the bottom right. And I think that we have seen just this year with beaver dams and natural blockages what happens, and I think some of that might be happening out here.
on Scripps Road, where we have the entire road washed out more than once. And right here, before we started constructing this facility, we have beavers that dam up everything that is hurting this. So I'm open to it. I certainly respect the Planning Commission and the work they do as volunteers. I am a bit concerned about the housing stock. I think there are opportunities that we need to continue to look at providing for our residents and future residents. We met with GM on Friday. They are bringing 2,200 employees that will be working on the site over the next 2 years, 80 construction trailers. And the good news is, most of that traffic will be going right from 75 to the site and back south. But certainly some people will be looking for long-term homes here. And I will continue to tell the Planning Commission, and I have submitted this in writing, as my personal review of the master plan, that sites that are abutting the busiest road in our northern Oakland County should be, I don't think anybody's gonna be building suburban estate lots there, ever, ever, ever. It's just not gonna happen. And I love the clustering that will protect a lot of the natural resources. So that's why I've been open, I'm open to anything all along, but I've seen this get kicked back 3 times, and every time it seems like we've said, here's the 3 things you need to do, and they do them, and here's 3 more, and they do them. And so I am generally open to this concept, and I think removing the restaurant and the car club that was originally slated to be there would be better for the traffic cycle. So those are my thoughts and comments. And now I will open it. We are not going to vote yet. Is there any questions that we wanted to have answered that were not answered from the applicant at this time? Okay, if you could have a seat, please. We will invite members of the public to address the board at this time. I'm going to ask you to just come forward, name and address for the record, and keep your comments to 3 moments, please. What happened?
You said moments.
3 minutes? 3 moments?
Hello, my name is Catherine Kennedy. Appreciate the time to talk to you. I have a question about the part of the presentation. There was a statement made that there was no vacancies in apartments in Lake Orion. However, I noticed right away Orion Cove Apartments, and there's an apartment complex right on Casimir, right down the street off of the pier, that were omitted completely. So I don't know if that's a true statement or not. I would suggest that we need to stop trying to outthink Mother Nature. This is a wetlands. Every time that wetlands are built over, they turn into flood zones. It's real simple. I would propose we need to start preserving our land through land conservancies in perpetuity, and it can be done. I've already consulted with my brother and already have the way to do it. That's what I would like to propose if someone in the board would like to work with me to develop that. My brother actually founded the Southeast Michigan Land Conservancy and the Michigan Land Conservancy previously. So I've already obtained the data from him to do so in our community because I'm so concerned about quite a few of the projects that are being put forth in our community to destroy the acres of the woods and the nature and the wildlife that we so appreciate. Lake Orion is a vacation. I don't want it to be was, past tense. The development projects that are going on, you can't restore woods when they're gone. It takes decades for those to be grown. And the birds that reside there no longer have habitat. Those are things that we appreciate here. And we are putting ourselves in self-destruct mode if we think everything needs to be developed. That's opposite. In fact, we need oxygen generation from the green spaces that everybody too often seems willing to obliterate. For what? I don't believe this is at all prudent, and I'm very concerned that Oakland County even created a rent program where if you rent to people that don't qualify under normal credit circumstances, our tax dollars can be used to reimburse damages up to $3,000 apiece for residents or prospective residents. I also have a concern that it isn't saying citizens anymore. It's always residents and prospective residents. And I've seen an awful lot that are using our tax dollars, it appears, that are not citizens, even though they haven't paid the taxes that the rest of us have paid in for decades. Some of our families have been here centuries paying. So it's very disconcerting if you think that it's okay to destroy the greenland and think it'll be preserved this way. This isn't preserving it. And that kind of density, how many schools do you have to reopen? We just converted Pine Tree to a special ed school.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to address the board?
Tony Kirby, 3560 Roar Road, Orion. I watched the presentation. I have to commend the gentleman on a lovely presentation. The building is gorgeous. However, it does not meet the current zoning. The density is too heavy. Our building commission has said no. It's a 7-0 vote. This isn't even close, guys. If you're not going to listen to the people you put in place who are the experts, you have an issue. That corridor, I drive that corridor almost daily. Average family has 1.88 cars. So you add in 166, you're almost 300 cars that are going to be traveling down a 2-lane road onto Lapeer, where if they want to head down, they're using a lovely little term I found out when I moved up here, Michigan left, on a very short turn lane. The density is the issue, and the building commission has said it. So in my opinion, this is not a project for that location. I'd love to see it go somewhere else. Like I said, they've done a wonderful job drawing it up. Not the right spot. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, my name's Tracy Duman. I'm at 270 Walden Road. So I just want to encourage you to decline and reject this. I've spoken at many of the meetings, but I'm the property right in front of it with the half-acre pond. And so I have a lot of concerns about security, traffic, privacy, everything I've mentioned. So thank you.
Thank you.
Just one comment.
Okay.
It came from the public that was sent from Tammy or Deb. I don't have it, though.
Hi, my name is Kim Hunter. I live at 310 Walden Road, directly in front of the proposed development. I've been very vocal at all the planning commission meetings on why I oppose the development. The length of the building, the height of the building, the traffic, the water. I can appreciate the, thought to divert traffic right onto Walden, but we still have to take into consideration all that traffic going on at a 24 that is going to be going down 24 to prevent us getting off of Walden. We rely on that light at Home Depot every single day. If that light turns green, we can go. If we have more traffic, up to 300 cars coming out, we're literally stuck. I welcome any of you to sit in my driveway at school bus time and see the pain in the neck it is to get out. The traffic study was done in August. That's not school times. I really just don't believe that that's an accurate traffic study. We want to do a traffic study when high school time is peaking, when school buses are peaking, when out of school, between 4 and 6 in the afternoon and 7, 9 in the morning would be great if it was on a school day. August traffic, we all know it's not that high there. The rezoning, it's residential now. We've just said previously in the meeting it's currently residential. It's not even in the future master plan to change the zoning on that. They are saying that the recognizable benefit is to have the 12-acre nature preserve. We boast, Orion, for the county parks, the state parks, all of our green space, a 12-acre nature preserve that we have to walk to the back of this property isn't a community benefit to us that live around it. The safety paths that are gonna go from 24 to Walden, there's nothing walkable in that area for safety paths. We have a safety path on the other side of the road. I mean, just us that live on that road walk it. You don't have people walking to cross 24 to go to G's. That's the only thing in the area. The safety path in the green space is not really a benefit to any of us that live around there. I think that is all of my concerns. I really hope you consider a no vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mary Ann Ryan, 301 Walden Road. So let's review. The zoning board denied this. The planning commission denied it twice. The density is 6 times higher than what the master plan calls for. The residents have resoundingly objected to this because of the density. So why Are the trustees thinking this is a good idea? You like apartments, that's nice, not here. We can't deal with that kind of density on Walden Road. We already have tremendous problems with flooding. This is going to increase the flooding because there's got to be runoff going toward the western part of Walden Road. It has not been addressed, as far as I can see. It's the job of the trustees to advocate for the citizens who elected them, not for the developers who want to make money. It is also not the job of trustees to make developers easily evade our commissions in our master plan. Let's be clear, no one in my neighborhood is objecting to a PUD. We're fine with that. The argument here is that this development only benefits the developer, not the township, the neighborhood, and certainly not the natural environment. I encourage you to deny this.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Pam McNabb, 350 Walden. I've also been at many of these meetings and over again have addressed the issues that we see as neighbors. It's not what the master plan is all about. It doesn't even come close to the master plan. The zoning, you're adding multifamily to a semi-rural area. The water issues are my biggest concern. We are practically drowning there now, and there's no way that, we can't handle any more water. It comes down the road, it comes through the back. The yards are not mowable in the spring. I don't believe in any way that this is gonna help our water situation. I invite any of you to come over and walk our yards after it's rained, even a small amount. Again, traffic studies should be done when traffic's possibly at a higher point than in the morning in August when no schools are in session, on a road that is a main thoroughfare for buses because the bus garage is on Giddings, as well as the fire trucks that are up and down the road all the time. It's just not safe to add any more traffic to that road. And a comment was made that this doesn't change our township we're living as a vacation. It changes it for the people who live in that immediate area. I urge you to deny it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Marcy Ramsey, and I live at 335 Walden Road. And I'm going to reiterate the traffic situation because even when we're not talking about school buses or high traffic volume during work hours, today, for instance, I left my home at 2:30 to pull out onto Lapeer Road, and it took me almost 7 minutes to make the right-hand turn. To think that it's going to solve the problem by bringing an exit from a complex that is going to have 166 units, will have at least 1.5 cars, and turning out right before Walden, it's going to make that traffic even worse. Turning right onto Walden out of the other one, if you think that anybody's going to just follow that sign, no way. Because the police are usually down by Jocelyn, and if they don't see anybody, they're going to make a left-hand turn. Sorry. The water problem, it's not 100-year storms anymore. They're much more frequent, let's face it. And I lived in Texas for 25 years, and they said the same stuff every time they did a development. The more cement you put in, the more water's going to run off and flood all of our yards. Last year was a disaster for all of us. It was terrible. The whole GM thing, I'm sorry, but I believe that GM will probably hire people that are already residential areas in the Oakland community, and they won't need an apartment. Sorry. I asked a question at the last meeting that was not answered. The wildlife, first of all, is going to be pushed out of its environment, and it's an important part of our community right now. I also asked if the Clinton River Watershed Council had been does it need to be approved by them? And does the DNR have to approve it? Those are wetlands. There are a lot of animals back there. There's turkeys, there's deer, there's all kinds of wildlife that are going to be pushed out of their habitat. You think that it's not going to affect any one of us? We are all tight neighbors. and this will drastically affect every single one of us. And I urge you to vote against this project.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else?
Not really dressed up tonight, I apologize. Mike Weaver, 2814 Walden Park, 24-year resident. Every time something is built near Walden Park, I get more water. I'm drastically concerned about the water. Come to my neighborhood, Penny. Come on over, anytime you want. I walk up and down my street every single day. I walk up and down Walden every single day, and I count the cars. I count them at different times every day. You'll see me, I'm out there with a cigar, and I count them, and it's 2 to 1, eastbound over westbound. Now you want to add 166 houses turning eastbound or westbound onto Walden Road? You know the buses stop right at the end of our sub? Do you want to have a kid killed? Would that make you feel better? Are you really worried about an elevator, an apartment, and then say, because we need people from GM to have a place to live? Do you think the guys who are going to be slugging wrenches at GM need an elevator to get up the stairs?
You got to direct it to me, please.
I'm directing it to the person who made the motion.
Go right ahead.
And shame on you.
Yeah, please.
Shame on you.
Please feel free to.
Please come to my house one day. And let me walk you through the neighborhood to hear the water raging underneath the road. Let me show you all the dead trees in my backyard. Come on over. Don't do this. We don't need more apartments. We need houses. We need real communities. We don't need transients. I appreciate Mr. Flood, Steele, Mr. Urbanowski, your candor. You know, when we appoint committees of our board at work, we do that because they can devote more time and expertise to a subject matter, and they make a recommendation. And when they make a unanimous recommendation, we buy it, because that's good governance. Don't do this. Don't overturn a 7-0. Shame on you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else?
My name is Wendy Ryan DeRessa. I live at 301 Walden Road. I encourage each and every one of you to deny this motion because I feel that this property, this project is inappropriate for this property and the density that it holds. The traffic is horrendous, especially during school hours. Sometimes the cars are backed up to the hill on our road. Okay, so I just want you guys to deny this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name's Kelly Mihelich. I live at 275 Walden Road. Oh my goodness, please forgive me. I'm trying to use my husband's glasses because I forgot mine. I'm not going to rehash all of the concerns that we've talked about meeting after meeting after meeting in regards to the Woodlands development. The developers here do not live in Orion Township, so they really can't tell us what's best for Orion Township. As board members, you live here. You know what this township means to its residents. And a development like this in the middle of a residential area, it doesn't belong there. It doesn't fit in. It doesn't belong. There's a number of reasons that it doesn't belong, all of which have been thrown out at every single meeting. And like I said, I don't want to rehash them all. One of the things I really want to address is, Mr. Barnett, you said that you had been approached by at least 6 developers who wanted to develop this property. And I think that would be a real surprise to the people who owned that property. It had only sold recently, within the last couple of years, and they certainly weren't aware of any developers wanting to develop it. So I don't know exactly where that comes from. In regards to the traffic study that the developer keeps talking about, I think Kim touched on that, talking about it was done the middle of August. It was done not during peak hours. It was summertime. There was no traffic, no school bus, no high school kids driving to school, no teachers driving to school. So that was ridiculous. I also want to address another, oh, I already did that. I'm sorry. I'm having trouble reading here. Sorry. Let me see. Another one of my concerns is all of the misinformation that is presented meeting after meeting after meeting by this developer. It seems as though one meeting, they will say one thing, and when it's questioned, well, they try to dance around it and change the answer a little bit, but they never really come up with good facts. One of the things that's really a concern to our neighborhood, once again, is the stormwater. And the Orion Township Commission approved 2 subdivisions on the north side of Walden Road to be developed. Those subdivisions, 3 minutes, really?
Yeah, go ahead, I'll give you.
Those subdivisions are always underwater, brand-new subdivisions. And they can't control the water that comes from the rainstorms in those subs. And it continues eastward down Walden Road, and it floods out the single houses on Walden Road. So to put this complex in where there's already a big problem with the water is a big mistake. And I don't care if it has 6-inch curbs, water is still gonna come over those curbs. Every time a car goes down the road, it splashes the water over the curbs. So that's not even a good answer to what's gonna happen with all of this water.
Thank you, ma'am. If you could just kind of wrap up, please.
That's okay. Nope, that's it. Mr. Flood, I appreciate your comments. Donnie Steele, you as well.
Thank you.
Urbanowski?
And-
Julia, I had one quick question.
Okay.
Everybody answered how they wanted to vote on this, except for Julia.
We're going to vote in a minute, ma'am, so you'll know exactly in a second.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Anyone else want to address the board, please? Come forward.
Dr. John Canine, 1247 Lakeshore Boulevard, 3604 Clarkston Road, 936 Baldwin, and fortunately or unfortunately, 3030 Lapeer Road. I hope I make it out of here alive tonight. I have, as a psychotherapist, I specialize in significant loss. I've spoken all across the country, and before you magnificent 7, you're very, very intimidating. And you put the corner back there with you, and like I said, I hope I make it out of here alive. Here's how we got here. I was approved by the township for a car club, restaurant, office building. During that time that I was approved, I had members of the community come to me and say, we don't want your car club, go somewhere else. We don't want another office building. And not sure we want a restaurant. The restaurant was a Lake Orion restaurant. I said, okay, what would you like to have here? And I already been approved. They said, we'd like to have housing. One person in particular said, we'd like to have apartments. Even more apartments would be better than a car club. Okay, I understand that, but I was approved and I was proceeding. Had the bank, had the builder, had the restaurant, and in the spring of 2020, COVID hit. Bank calls me and says, we're not doing any new construction now. And builder called me and said, it's going to be $1 million more than what we quoted you. And so I said, well, I'm going to wait. I waited and I waited and I waited. I got tired of waiting. At my age, I'd lost my energy. I was ready to move on to something else. And so I took out a contract on the 23 acres next to me, 30 acres, and I found this young man that my friends and the people I care about and my neighbors in Lake Orion, all of you, have not treated him very well.
John, you got it. Mr. Kine, if you can just address, you got to address me. Everybody, let's keep all the comments. Mr. Kine, you got to.
Michael has done the best job that he can do, and he's answered every question, and he's had people from the planning commission say, this is what you need to do to get this approved. He did it, and it's not happening. Now, obviously, whatever you vote is whatever you vote, and as a 28-year resident of Lake Orion, I'm going to go with what you vote. But I think it's greatly disappointing. I have complete confidence in OHM that there's not going to be a water problem. The traffic study, everybody, I guess, knows more about traffic studies than the people that Michael has used and his team. So this is where we are, and I guess what bothers me the most is 28 years in a place that I absolutely love, and I have a lot of friends. I care about this township. I didn't know there was a Citizens Award until tonight, and I congratulate the painters. I believe they've left now, but I need to work harder and need to do more, especially if there's an award for it. But I'm kind of joking, but no, I should do more in the township. And so anyway, thank you for being on the board, and I do appreciate the Planning Commission, totally disagree with them, and the way they handled the last meeting. I had to put myself in psychotherapy for a week after that. But I believe in this project, and I will continue to believe in it. I want to say one more thing, Mr. Supervisor, before I stop. My wife has a business in Lake Orion. I have a business in Lake Orion, actually in Clarkston, but Orion Township. And my wife had an employee that was coming from the east side. And she drove around the township, and she said, I love this place. I'd like to get an apartment here. My wife said, I'll take you out, we'll find something. Took her out all day. They looked at apartments, they looked at housing. Nancy came back that night to me and she said, I'm really discouraged. She said, there's nothing available in Lake Orion. I said, well, there's good and bad to that. I said, the good is we got a wonderful place to live. I said, the negative is we need to have more places to live. So I just hope, if you're going to vote this down, you're going to vote it down. Nothing I can do about that. But I hope that you are serious about development. And I have to disagree with my neighbors. I think we need development here. We've got a lot of natural preserve, and we will keep them. But anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kine. We will bring it back up. Is there anyone else? Okay.
My name's Ken Mihelich. I live at 275 Walden. Live here almost 40 years. Loved living here. When we moved there, Walden Road was a tunnel of trees, just like Green Shield and Script. If you go down Green Shield and Script at times, you think you're in Lewiston. You know, it's beautiful. We understand progress. We understand the development. We understand the subdivisions and our neighbors, and they've been good neighbors. But this is too much. And we have nothing against this young man. He's made a fantastic presentation. But please, no more. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Anyone?
Mary Ann's coming.
Excuse me.
Mary Ann Ryan, 301 Walden Road. I used to know Tim, who owned this property with the lake, and we used to discuss the water, the way the water went a lot. I think this is part of the Clinton River watershed, and I'm wondering if anybody has inquired as to the impact this will have with the Clinton River watershed. So that was my comment.
Thank you. Okay, anything else from the public at this time? Bring it back up to the board. There were some, I think there's some questions. I tried to take good notes. And then we'll bring it back up to the board if there's any other questions from the board. First of all, are there any other questions from the board at this time? But then we'll have them all answered at the same time. Okay. Traffic study, the questions were just the timing and when that was done. I guess it's more for Mr. Stevens. Thoughts on a traffic study that's done in August in a residential area? Is there anything we should think about or know there?
I mean, just a couple quick comments is, as everyone knows too, with COVID, traffic volumes are down. So the traffic study engineer applied a factor essentially to increase traffic, the traffic generation or the counts that they analyze. And just to comment on traffic, I mean, the traffic study shows that there's significant delays at Walden Road, like all the residents are saying. I mean, the traffic study shows that, and the traffic study also shows that the development is going to increase those delays. So, I mean, the traffic study talks about that, and it shows that. The one thing, and I guess on the counterpoint to that is the existing zoning at the corner was, I think, GB and then also office. And then when you add in the single-family homes, the net of what could be built there as zoned versus what is proposed actually is less traffic. But there certainly is an impact to traffic. I mean, the study shows, as an example, I think eastbound Walden Road, the delay increase is about 30 seconds. It's already failing. It's an F, and now it goes up 30 seconds. However, if you build what was zoned at that corner, the traffic actually would be more. You know, there would be more traffic if it was built per zone. So certainly their traffic is impacted. Traffic is bad there now, and it gets worse with the development, no doubt.
Okay. Before we bring it back to the board, didn't have any more comments. Did you want to add anything, Mr. Wayne? And then I'll bring it up here for closing comments, and we'll call the vote.
Of course, well, I appreciate that. I guess first, I'd just like to say that we understand the public sentiment. I understand the emotion that's behind this, and we obviously have no malicious intent. Our goal is to build apartments and bring more housing options to the community. I think if I lived right next to the site, of course, you'd rather look at a vacant field than a developed site, but that's not reality. These are owned by property owners that have paid real dollars for them, and they have a right to be developed, and we feel like this is the best use for this site. So while I absolutely am sympathetic and understanding of their concerns, I think we've shared a lot of information tonight to share how we're going to mitigate those concerns, specifically on water. I don't know how many more times I can, or how many different ways I can say it, but as far as water's concerned, it will need to be approved in a fashion where township's engineers believe it will not cause any negative impact. And that's the minimum. Traffic, again, as Mr. Stevens suggested, if it were built with the general business and with the existing single family, it would be more. As far as height, we've reduced to 2 stories. We buffered everything we can. I really feel like we have provided as much mitigation to these concerns as possible. And, our intent is to build a fantastic project. There were a couple specific questions asked specifically about Eagle and permitting. It would require an Eagle permit in order to send any water to the existing stormwater retention or existing pond that's located on the site. That's a permit that we're willing and able to pursue. There was a question, how do we plan to preserve wildlife? Well, we're going to keep 12 acres unobstructed. So that would be more wildlife that would get preserved than if it was built per zoning. So I feel like in that sense, we've done our best to preserve even more wildlife than what's currently zoned there in the underlying. A few other comments here that I can add to specifically. As far as the sentiment that we need more houses, we don't need apartments, you have more houses coming. Go to the Orion Township website and check out current developments. There's a number of condos and for sale product. You know what there's none of? For rent apartments. I know there's some other projects that are in the works and working on approvals, but you go to the current developments on the Orion Township website, 0 apartments, a whole lot of houses and condos. So I would share that. And, as far as the master plan is concerned, I would say this. The master plan and what's in the PUD ordinance asks if we meet the intent and the spirit of the master plan. Obviously, with the PUD, it's not going to fit the exact zoning. That's the reality of a PUD. But the intent and the spirit throughout the master plan, plastered everywhere, is to preserve nature. Of course, I feel like we've done that. There's a call for diverse housing options other than single-family homes. Clearly, we're achieving that. And, the intent of this site was to build residential. I described the last time I was before you that to build it as it's zoned is economically impossible. I have a slide that I can show you, but I'll spare us all the time. And so as far as intent and spirit, we're meeting the intent of residential. We're meeting the spirit of the master plan in terms of bringing this missing middle. And, to the comments of no benefit to the community, I struggle to understand that. I mean, the project itself is an inherent benefit to the community. It allows the community to continue sustainable growth, which is what the master plan calls for in a number of places. it allows the people that the township is investing resources in bringing GM to invest, in their expansion, it allows you to retain those people. I mean, that's providing a well-rounded community, and communities need more than just single-family housing. They need a balance of housing options, and this is a type of housing option that doesn't exist, and we want to bring it here. So I appreciate everyone's time. I know we spent a lot of time in this room together, and I'm very appreciative of the consideration you've given, and, our hope is to be able to deliver an extraordinary project for you.
Thank you, Mr. Wayne. Bring it back up here to my board members. Any other comments or questions before yes, Ms. Steele?
I never got the answer about the 700 feet length of the road, and I know that this development, this missing middle, is missing in Orion. However, I just did not want to see it there. And I believe this development is a great benefit mostly to the developer, not the surrounding community or the residents. And yes, the housing is unavailable, but it's unavailable in all aspects, single-family, condos, detached, all of it is, we're at a deficit. So just doesn't mean, just because we're missing one, that we need to continually looking at all the apartments and stacking our apartments all over town, which is what is starting to happen. So you just happen to be the first one in the queue.
So the question is a 700-foot cul-de-sac.
Versus 600, which was, and you said you didn't think it was,
I thought that
It's a boulevard.
yeah.
I think Tammy can confirm that too, but because it's a boulevard.
My understanding is it can't exceed 700 feet with a single access point, but because we have the two access points, my understanding is that it is not.
Yes, it's the fire department that always brings up the length of it, and there is the other access, and he didn't bring it out in his review at all.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
I have one comment before we vote. I've never been ashamed of any vote that I have taken as a board of trustee, nor have I ever been ashamed of any motion.
Is there any other comments from the board? Yep, Kim.
Before you all leave, I'm actually going to say this now. We have a planning commission open house on Wednesday. It would be nice to see as many people there as there are here. So please help us spread the word and show up to that. Master plan open house, Wednesday, 4 o'clock to 6:30.
I have a slide on that, too.
I just wanted to say it before everybody scattered.
Mike.
Mr. Supervisor, when I support the motion from the 7-0 vote from the Planning Commission, there's 5 criterias in there. I'm not going to read all 5. It's on the public record. Anyone can look at that. It's on the public record. One of them that really stands out to me is that I'm not going to talk about the height. I'm going to talk about the length of the building. RM standards limit the length of a building to 200 feet. That's in our ordinance, in the master plan. This proposal is 350 feet long. That's longer than a football field. I don't think we got another building in there unless it's General Motors. That's that length. No GM does. That's an industrial complex. But just to point that fact out, that is one of the criteria that was the Planning Commission based it on.
Thank you. Anyone else want to, from the board, want to share any comments before I ask the clerk to call the roll? I would just state that, did you want to address something, Mr. Wayne?
Would just make one quick comment. As far as length of the building goes, we understand that that's not compliant with the RM1 zoning ordinance, but we're not here in front of you requesting rezoning to RM1. We've been using RM1 as purely a comparison to obviously compare some of the factors of our project to something that we feel like it's similar to, which is most similar to the RM1 zoning ordinance. As far as building length, we could cut the building. We could take out that unit right there at the corner of the L. We could separate it. We could get it under the 250. If that's what separates this project from approval, consider it done. Frankly, with the PUD, we know that there's some liberties in certain areas, and we felt like the site was best designed this way. And as it relates to building length, there is not a single home that can see all 350 feet of that building at once from their house. Not possible. There's too many trees, too many buffers. And so while I understand it is a longer building. I think the intent of that is to limit that sightline, and the project does that. That would be my only response, Mr. Flood.
Thank you. A few comments from me. I want to address some of the things that were brought up by the residents. And you've learned, because you guys have come to lots of meetings, we don't do a lot of back and forth, but I definitely want to take the opportunity to share a few thoughts and things. First of all, this is a tough job. We're always looking for people. We have to weigh all of the evidence, everything that's in front of us, including the demand. I can tell you, even when this developer came in front of us for the first time, way before a planning commission meeting or public hearing, there were buildings on the back 12 acres. So there's a lot of things that the public doesn't see before you even get to. And whether or not he wants to admit it or not, said the same things. It's way too dense, doesn't seem like it makes sense. And things and plans evolve based on the feedback that's received. And I appreciate that about this developer. Look, we don't own the property. It's not, I believe it's a fundamental right of people when they own property, they have rights, personal property rights to develop their property. And agree that there are rules that need to be followed. But the PUD section of our ordinance gives flexibility and allows us to, and the reason I like it is it allows us to make sure we're not just simply zoning to multifamily. It allows us to get things like 12-acre nature preserves and high-end architecture, which is not required in our ordinance, and things like that, and great amenities and more upscale. If we just simply rezone to a multifamily designation, they can build vinyl siding, 412 pitch, buildings that don't really look appealing. So that's why I like the ordinance. I will tell you that, all the comments that have been said, I think every person on this board understands. I can tell you that we work closely with the Clinton River watershed. That's asked a couple times. We know that this project, if it was to be approved, would not go anywhere if they didn't get the approvals necessary. And I think that, it was said a few times, we need to advocate for the citizens that elected us. And I'm speaking just for myself right now, but I do take this job really, really serious, and I pour my heart and soul into it. And there are lots of people that live here that never lived here in the 10 years that I've been in this role, based on new developments that have come to town, that love our community, that their kids are in our schools, and there is growth that needs to happen in the community. I'm also a staunch advocate for all the things you all love. That's why I was the champion, the person that got the deal done, and I don't pat myself on the back a lot, but for the 140 acres of Camp Agawam that would have been sold to a residential home developer, we got that done. We bought it. We saved that camp. We saved the park. It would have sold. There was an offer to purchase. As it relates to the developers that I've mentioned, that's a fact. Just because someone doesn't own a piece of property doesn't mean Mr. Wayne doesn't own this property. He's in his due diligence. As it's been self-disclosed, Mr. Canine owns this property, Dr. Canine owns this property. It's there, people come and bring proposals all the time. I can tell you, there's been some really ugly ones on this site that didn't see the light of day, didn't come to a planning commission meeting, didn't come to a public hearing. We represent 40,000 people, and I love all the same things about this community that you do. I also have utmost confidence in our planning commission members and our consultants, and I do think, and I've said it on the record again tonight, and I'll say it again probably Wednesday, that there are areas of our community that need to be looked at. I mean, when the site was looked at to be developed, the lot cost to develop single-family homes as zoned was, I think, upwards of $500,000. Put a house on that, that's a $500,000, you're looking at $1 million houses. I'm sorry, I wish someone would come here and build $1 million houses, but that's never gonna be built on this site. It's not. So we have to look at all those factors when we make our decisions, and those are my comments. So with that, I would enter, the motion, just to be clear, was made to approve the development. And that's, so a yes vote would be to approve, a no would be to not approve, and then if it goes down, Dan, if it goes down, just so everybody's clear up here, is there a second motion required, or it would just be denied by?
No, there should be, in my opinion, there should be a second
A
motion.
motion to actually deny it, okay.
Yes.
Just want to make sure for purposes of that. Yes, Mr. Schultz.
Call the roll.
Call the roll, please.
Schultz, yes. Barnett?
No.
Urbanowski?
No.
Flood?
No.
Dalrymple?
No.
Bernie?
No.
Steele?
No.
Mr. Supervisor,
Yes,
did that motion fail?
it did, 6-1.
I'm prepared to make a motion.
Mm-hmm.
Move to deny PC 2021-78, the Woodlands Concept and Eligibility PUD Plan located on a vacant parcel located east of 310 Walden Road, Sidwell, 0923 351 024, and 3030 South Lapeer Road, Sidwell, 0926 101 021, for plans date stamped, received 4/13/22 for the reasons given by the Planning Commission in their motion to recommend denial on 5/4/22.
Support.
Okay, it's moved by Flood, supported by Urbanowski. Any comments on this? Pretty straightforward.
A yes vote on this one means to deny, correct?
That's right. Ms. Schultz, please call the roll.
Schultz? No. Steele?
Yes.
Bernie?
Yes.
Dalrymple?
Yes.
Flood?
Yes.
Urbanowski?
Yes.
Barnett?
Yes, that motion passes 6-1. That completes this agenda item and moves us on to, thank you all for your attention tonight on that. You can stay for a few more minutes if you're interested. We do have some interesting announcements coming up. Understand it's late, and if you want to leave, please do so, and talk quietly out there if you're going to leave so we can continue with our business. Thank you.
Has a comment.
Just wanted to say thank you so much for seeing us and listening to us and considering us. We appreciate it and hope to see you soon for another project.
You did a nice job, thank you.
Yeah, I will say you have been a pleasure to work with. You,
I'm so sorry, but I know you don't.
oh. Okay.
Oh, painters, I want to.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 12, which is reports. Our reports. We have 3 of them tonight. First, the police and fire reports.
I move to receive and file the police and fire report.
Support.
It was moved by Bernie, supported by Flood. Any comments, Mr. Bernie, from fire?
No, not at this
Please.
time.
Okay.
424.
Thank you. Page number 424. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, next item is the Friends of the Paint Creek Trail Tour de Trail invitation. Ms. Steele.
Well, it's the Friends Tour de Trail. It's on, I think I talked about it at the last meeting. We're still looking for volunteers to help, sponsors to sponsors, and people to participate. So it's going to start in the village of Orion and go all the way to Rochester if you so choose. And they're going to have a little expo, helmet fitting, great fun, free helmets given away to children as they fit the helmets on them. There'll be a beer tent and food trucks, and it should be fun. So 9 to noon on the June 4th? Yes, June 4th. I'm sorry, 8:30. Thanks for bringing it up again.
And you made the motion to receive and file that, I heard.
did.
Is there support?
Support.
Flood? Sorry, Julia? Flood. Julia.
Who support?
Flood. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Last report of the night is the Great Lakes Water Authority Highland Park debt liability opinion. And there has been an opinion. On May 10th, the Wayne County, as you all know, we passed a resolution urging some sort of interaction, or what's the right, interruption maybe, I don't know, something to do, stop the Highland Park reliance on everyone else in the Great Lakes Water Authority. Get them to pay their bills, in other words. So we passed a resolution at our April 18th meeting. And since that time, on May 10th, as stated in the memo, there's been an opinion issued by Wayne County Circuit Court that's telling Highland Park to pay their bills. The situation is not yet resolved. The opinion's in the packet. I encourage you to read it. Or if you Google it, you'll be able to quickly find it. There'll be a lot more to come on this, but just bringing that as an update tonight. Is there a motion to receive and file?
So move.
And I have a quick question.
Go ahead with your question.
I
It was
thought it
moved
was
by, sorry.
Sorry.
Moved by Flood and supported by Urbanowski. And go ahead, Donnie.
And I thought it was thrown out of court, and then went back to court? I mean, it's confusing what this letter is.
Okay, so I can tell you that,
I thought that they said they had to pay the bill, and then the circuit court said, no, you don't, and then, is this another one?
well, this news is a week old, so my understanding now is that they have been ordered to pay.
Okay.
But not, to start paying again, not the
Back
10
then.
years that they.
I see, okay.
So that's what needs to be resolved.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not an expert on that issue, so if you want more information on that, we can engage with Jim or Dan or somebody that is probably more of an expert. Or Tom Tangi. Do you want to say something, Dan?
No, I think you've got it right.
Yeah.
In this decision, there's been multiple lawsuits involving this debt over the years. The most recent is accurate, Chris, what you just summarized.
Okay.
Scorecard.
Okay. All in favor of receiving and filing, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone oppose? All right, that brings us to public comment. Anyone want to address the board at this time? Seeing no one come, nope, I'm sorry.
William was going to say something.
Catherine Kennedy again. I had sent an email earlier today, and I didn't know if it ever got circulated anywhere, if I followed the process. When I called, they said, I think it was Deb Walton was the one I was supposed to send emails to, but I don't know the people here, if it's even, are you Deb?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay.
What's your question, ma'am?
No, I just didn't know if the process, when I send an email to the planning commission, does it get circulated, I guess is the question.
It sure does, yep.
Okay, so you got an email from?
We're the
me
township
earlier?
board. The planning commission meets on Wednesdays. We're the township board. If you go right to our website, you can click on how to email the board, and I'll show you on the screen, but, you can,
I just wasn't sure of the process even.
so the website's the easiest way to do that, and I'll go right to our homepage and show you. If you click on the page, government, and you can click on, where's it at?
Kind of how I was at home.
No.
Email to the board.
Where's it at?
If you email Deb Walton, it will get to the planning
Yeah,
commission,
if you want
yes,
to go to the
ma'am.
planning, if you want to email the board, we're the township board, you have to, there it is, right there, it's right in front of me. You hover over government, and then you can click on email the board, and you can send an email to the whole board, right there, boom.
Thank you.
And it opens up your mail, and it puts all our email addresses in there, and we'll get the email.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, yep. Anyone else? All right, bring it to the board, Ms. Dalrymple.
As always, we are continuing to feed people who need food. So if that is you, reach out. If you can't make it to Forgotten Harvest, let us know. Otherwise, the project is still going strong every Monday. I am excited for the end of the school year to then be able to be back out on the food line on Mondays. And then I'm sure you're going to talk about the playground in the village, so I will leave that slide to you.
Thank you. Ms. Urbanowski.
The Friends of the Orion Township Library Spring Used Book Sale is happening this week, starting tomorrow, 17th through the 21st. I think it's like 10 o'clock to 8:30, something like that. Most books are either 50 cents for paperback, $1 for hardcover books. I just spent a couple hours there on Saturdays helping set up the books. There are a lot of them, so fear not. If you need some, come get some.
All right, thank you. And I have that slide up there that I prepared for you, but you already covered it, but I'm just putting it up there.
Master plan,
Yes.
everybody,
Wednesday.
come to the master.
All right, Penny.
By now, everyone should have received their new voter ID card. If you have any questions, get a hold of us in the clerk's office. We've got a great fax questionnaire out on the Website, thank you, Sam Timko. You've been very helpful on some of these things. I appreciate it. And the 2 street closures, they do need to, one was denied on the Franklin Wright Boulevard, one was approved. They do need to go to the road commission, and I will send follow-up letters for you. That's it.
Thank you. Ms. Steele?
I sent you pictures, oh, thank you. Oh, we had a garlic mustard pole. It's an invasive species, and the kids from International Academy at the Oakmas campus in Bloomfield came out to help us pick up the weeds. So, and then also, we had a ride from Orion to Leonard and back, and it was in honor of Wade Sullivan to raise money for paving the parking lot on the corner of Rose Road and the Pollyant Trail. It was greatly successful. There was 42 riders, and they collected 4,000 plus. People just came by and just wrote checks. So great memorial for him, for a great person, and we're in the right direction to complete that project.
Awesome. Thank you. Anything else?
No, thank you.
Mr. Flood?
Can't believe how fast summer's going already. This month's gonna be gone in a couple weeks, whatever, Memorial Weekend. Second collection for the no-haz is coming up June 4th, first Saturday in June. I don't want to give a shout out to the landfill on their free disposal day, because people get these things, 2 things mixed up. We still have a board meeting before that one. We can give the shout out to that for the landfill. No-haz, June 4th, Oxford Middle School up on Lakeview Road. And lastly, I just want to welcome Ms. Lillian Hutchison back. The first time you've been in the new boardroom. And glad to see you back. Thank you.
Mr. Burney?
I just want to thank everyone that attended and participated in the National Day of Prayer. That was 2 weeks ago. It was a beautiful day. It was nice to have some youth there, some music, a lot of local pastors and priests and religious people were there. So it was 45 minutes. So I kept it under an hour, but it was very nice. I'm looking forward to doing it next year again. So thank you to everyone that was involved.
Thank you. A few things for me today. Just want to say thank you. Again, I agree. We love the interaction with the residents, and especially when we keep it, even though people are very passionate, we understand the passion. We need to respect each other. What do I have in here for you? Oh, as Julia mentioned, the Village of Lake Orion has done 2 community playground builds. This was on Saturday and Sunday. And just want to congratulate them on a project. And there still are some projects that need assistance. So if you're interested in helping, that was a picture that popped up for a minute. It was me, like, I don't know, 28 hours ago. I feel just like that still right now. But Teresa Rutt, the village council member, organized an incredible weekend. And much credit to them. That's in Children's Park. It's a beautiful new playground, not open yet. And then what else do we have here? General Motors, look at that. First of all, you know, General Motors is big news, and it's going to be the biggest news happening for a long time. As I mentioned earlier, we had, I think, 14 or 15 folks in on Friday, and with our team, a planner and building official, and a few others. And this is big. So they'll be flying through a roughly 4 million square foot build that needs to still go through all of the processes of approval. We're going to be working with the Planning Commission on some text amendments to the zoning ordinance and the district that they exist, which were written for GM originally and need updating. Things like building heights and other things, parking. So we're hopeful that we get full cooperation from all involved because we have a timeline to meet. General Motors does, and whether you drive a GM or like GM, this is big news. We need them to be successful, and they will be. And I want to thank our staff, some of whom I've mentioned, for being really amazing and white glove treatment to GM as we start this process. One more thing on the development side, I'll mention Scripps Road started construction this week. Well, it actually started in the fall with some tree cutting and things in this winter. But you'll see it ramp up. That's this exit on our north side of the municipal complex. We're starting water main and storm sewer construction next week. Actually, this week it started. Grading, starting the week after this week, so next week. Concrete, curbs, June 13th, and then you'll start seeing paving at like mid-June. So hopefully we'll be cleaning up and open to traffic in July, and then final restoration kind of August. So that's exciting. And Walden Road was paved last week, resurfaced. We have lots of road projects. We have a Facebook page you can follow for road updates. It's called Orion Township Road Updates. And then next, I think I'm almost done here, I promise. Kicking for a Cause, we're really excited. We have teams from all over Southeast Michigan coming next Sunday, May 22nd, 10:30 at Friendship Park. It's a fundraiser for finishing the concession stand, and that grand opening will be June 18th. We'll be giving jobs to adults with special needs, so we're thrilled about that. But we have one more fundraiser next Sunday. If you're around, it will be really fun. Part of that day is going to be an exhibition game with some of our Miracle Leaguers, our special needs baseball players that play out at that park. So come check it out. The event is free next Sunday. And last but not least, the Orion Veterans Memorial Day Run is happening. This is our 6th year. It's on Memorial Day, 5K option, 5 mile. All this stuff's available on our website. And just show you that real quick. You can see a lot of these great things right on our homepage. So if you haven't been to our website in a while, check it out, oriontownship.org, and you'll see all the things you want to be plugged in, like you heard about the master plan update, township news. You can watch the state of the township if you missed it. You can sign up for the Memorial Day run there and learn about all kinds of other things. So check it out if you haven't been there in a while. Our team does a great job keeping it up to speed and up to date. With that,
Move to adjourn.
no, time out. Tammy has something.
Sorry, you were so close. I just wanted to point out to anyone that might still be watching that there was an error in Orion Review, which said that the open house goes from 4 till 8. It's 4 till 6:30. So anyone that happens to still be watching, please come by 6:30. Thank you.
Move to adjourn.
Support.
Moved by Schultz, supported by Flood. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned at 9:48.